Chapter 51. Okay, I'll let you know when the time comes. Ancient One nodded and smiled. It seems that there are other calculations. Then, she summoned a stack of books. You should read these first. They are the cornerstones of entering the field of magic. Ancient One said kindly. Lin Ke glanced at the titles of these books. The Encyclopedia of Nouns in the Field of Magic, The Origin of Magic, Basic Magic Power Operation Rules. Hell, these are very basic books. There are always hundreds of copies. Then, I wish you a happy study. Ancient One got up and left, keeping mental power behind him. The third pass. Lin Ke's spy. In 139 timelines, Lin Ke spied on her in this time period. As long as there is a spy, there is a high probability that I will be saved by the opponent's hero in the future. That's really meaty. It was hard for her to imagine the scene of falling in love with a little boy. Fortunately, Lin Ke didn't do that, but picked up a copy of The Origin of Magic and read it. Ancient One breathed a sigh of relief and walked out of the hall. Why do you think this Ancient One is weird? After Ancient One left, Lin Ke took a strange look at the entrance of the hall. Never mind. Old Magister, it's normal to be a little strange. Lin Ke turned his attention back to the book in his hand. Marvel Magic, featuring a borrowed word. This is a bit unreliable. Whether you borrow magic from a different dimension or borrow magic from a different god, Lin Ke thought to himself and continued to read. I thought that Ancient One was using some basic books to prevaricate him. I didn't expect that there are really many important contents in it. Limbo Prison, Kingdom of Gods, Astral, Avalon, Sea of Serpents, Purple Dimension, Crimson Universe, Crazy Field. A lot of things I didn't understand in my previous life. Lin Ke's complexion gradually became serious. If you don't understand this knowledge, if you rashly come into contact with the magic dimension, you may really be like Monkey King after learning the art, not knowing the heights of the sky and the depths of the earth, messing with the windows. What is the field of magic? Magical realms are those realms whose fundamental properties do not obey physical law, but are bound by magical energy. There are gods in these fields. Time passed little by little. Whenever Lin Ke finishes reading a book, new books will drop out of the portal and take away the old ones. Portals no longer drop new books after a day. Ancient One appeared. It's time for you to take me to learn some advanced knowledge. Lin Ke laughed. After hearing this, Ancient One couldn't stop being amazed. It's really a terrible ability to learn. Are you really not interested in protecting the earth? Lin Ke shook his head and said, Definitely no. Isn't the earth beautiful? But there are countless such earths. I see. Ancient One nodded. This man is not content to be in a single universe. It seemed that there was indeed no hope of keeping him. Next, I will teach you to establish communication with Waishandi. Ancient One sat in front of Lin Ke and spoke. Lin Ke frowned and said, Can I have my own magical energy without relying on external objects, just like Waishandi and the others? Ancient One nodded with a smile. Yes, but not. Lin Ke looked puzzled. He learned from the book that the magic world has the concept of primitive magic, and the original magic is stronger than the borrowed magic. It can be both dark and light. You're talking about raw magic energy, right? Ancient One poured a cup of tea for Lin Ke. The tea smelled ethereal, and he said calmly, Life in this era no longer has the objective conditions for the birth of primitive magic. Only gods can control that primitive power. Oxite, Agamotto, and Hogs form the Trinity Vishender. They are the first generation of gods born on Earth. Contemporaries include Jia and Sithorn, the god of the underworld. Only such a personality is qualified to manipulate primitive magic. Lin Ke frowned deeply upon hearing this. Although the demons in hell are not as good as the god of white magic and the god of black magic, they can also use magic because they are the aborigines of the magic dimension. Could it be that I have to create an ancient god cultivation method and cultivate to the level of the first-generation gods before I can use magic? Lin Ke thought to himself. As for cultivating into a demon, he never thought about it. The demons in Marvel are so good. The strongest is the level of the Hell Lord. As for the cultivation method of the ancient gods, he still has some signs of it. Odin is the second generation of world tree gods created by Jia, and Thor is the third generation. Study it carefully. It shouldn't be difficult to create a blood vein cultivation method. Just when Lin Ke was thinking this way, Ancient One suddenly said, Actually, it is not impossible for you to cast primitive magic with a mortal demigod body. After all, among the endless multi-universes, some universes are extremely special. Lin Ke heard this, his eyes lit up, and he said, Do you have a solution? Ancient One put down his teacup, stared at Lin Ke and said, "When I was traveling in other planes, I heard about Sesnig. That is a real magic supreme. In his world, everyone can use magic." He once left an inscription on which the mysteries of primitive magic were inscribed. Perhaps you can learn the real primitive magic through that. Sesnig? The real magic supreme? Lin Ke's eyes lit up, and he asked, "Who is better, he or Sithorn?" Ancient One laughed, made a fist, and blew into it. "The fist is Sesnig." Hearing this, Lin Ke gasped. This is quite a multi-level god. Immediately, his eyes lit up, and he hurriedly asked, "Where is that inscription?" Ancient One smiled and said, "It seems to be in hell. I can help you find out." "Thank you." Lin Ke sincerely thanks. "That's what you're going to learn now." Ancient One took out 4 books and put them on the coffee table. These 4 books are obviously magic books, with a strange atmosphere. "I don't plan to communicate with Emperor Weishan for the time being." Lin Ke shook his head. No matter how high the savvy is, it is impossible to learn magic without practice. And practice requires magical energy. Ancient One smiled and said, "You came to Kamartaj. It seems to be to create an ability called Yikiwasanking. The sooner that ability appears, the better for you, right? I can lend you my magic energy, and all your magic consumption during this period will be borne by me." Hearing this, Lin Ke didn't look very happy. Instead, there was a strange look in his eyes. How does it feel that Ancient One is the same as Tony? Kind of licking? Chapter 52. Seeing Lin Ke's strange eyes, Ancient One was a little flustered, blinked, and smiled. "What's wrong?" During Lin Ke's study, she has been using the Eye of Adamogo to observe the timeline. By doing this by himself, Lin Ke is likely to invite himself to join his eternal family in the future, and there are some follow-up benefits. Whether it is for yourself or the world, it should bring a good result. The reality, however, is that she triggered the least likely timeline. Lin Ke looked at himself strangely. Since this timeline is of little value, she didn't observe much before. Does Lin Ke have any multi-level power? As an old magician, Ancient One quickly thought of a possibility. Only with multi-level power can Eye of Agamotto have such a serious error. Nothing. Lin Ke shook his head. Just lick it. He's used to it anyway. Ancient One probably wants to invest because it sees its great potential. However, he still recognized this kindness. Next, Ancient One cast a spell on Lin Ke, sharing the magical energy with him. With this magical power, Lin Ke began to study magic. 5 days later, you have learned the soft barrier, and with a little practice, the soft barrier is complete. You have learned the suppressing evil mantra, and with a little practice, the suppressing evil mantra is complete. You have learned the blazing angel's shield, and with a little training, the blazing angel's shield is complete. You have systematically learned shield magic, mastered it, and created the exclusive magic Holy Light Barrier of Light. Holy Light Barrier of Light summons a barrier of light with strong exorcism and strong defense effects. You have learned the Burning Pillar, and with a little training, the Burning Pillar is complete. You have learned the Touch of Ice. With a little training, the Touch of Ice is complete. You have learned the Sanctioning God Thunder, and with a little training, the Sanctioned God Thunder is complete. You have systematically studied elemental magic, mastered it, and created the exclusive magic Disaster Realm, Array of Great Elements. Disaster Realm, Array of Great Elements. Launch an elemental catastrophe and destroy everything in the array. You have learned the teleportation technique, and with a little training, the teleportation technique is complete. You have learned the Landslide Phantom, and with a little training, the Landslide Phantom is complete. You have learned the Mirror Space, and with a little training, the Mirror Space is complete. You have systematically learned a lot of space magic, mastered it, and created the exclusive magic Space Kingdom of God in the Hand. Space Kingdom of God in the Hand. Scale a piece of space to make it an independent boundary. Lin Ke was beaming with joy as he digested what he had gained in the past 5 days. Next second, the front space door is open, and there is an island outside the space door. Kamartaj's mainstream magic requires strong faith to cast, and Lin Ke's belief is at the level of the sun. Casting spells without sling ring is just basic. Lin Ke's palm penetrated into the space door, and when he retracted, there was already an island in his hand. Hoo-hoo. The effect is not bad. Looking at the island in his hand, Lin Ke was about to destroy it with the Disaster Realm Great Element Array, but suddenly remembered that he was using the magic energy of Ancient One, so he gave up this plan. He then threw the island back, closing the portal. Next, it's up to you. With burning eyes, Lin Ke picked up the last magic book. Turn the pages. There is only one magic on it. The shape of Aiken. In addition to the complete technique, Ancient One's experience in using this technique is also recorded. Warm, very caring. After 5 days of study, Lin Ke's attainment in magic is already very high, and he has the ability to analyze this magic in all aspects. Before starting to practice, Lin Ke sent a duplication, entered the teleportation array, and returned to the Lin Ke building. In case they leave for too long, Lorna and the others are worried. Mutant duplication can only inherit 1/10 of the power of the main body, and its combat value is very low. The only advantage is that it is completely controlled by the ontology. A month later, you have learned the shape of Icon, and with a little practice, the shape of Icon will be complete. You have devoted yourself to cultivation, and you have gained insight into the true meaning of the shape of Aiken, and the degree of mastery has reached an unprecedented level. You have an epiphany, and combined it with duplication ability to create bloodline supernatural powers. 1 Chi transforming 3 purities. Bloodline supernatural power 1 Chi transformation into 3 purities. Use the power of the original source to gather 3 Dao seeds. The Dao seeds can develop according to the path you imagined, and will eventually return to everything you own when you integrate with the body. At most, 1 Dao seed can be condensed every month. Kind. Haha, it's finally done. Lin Ke was overjoyed. 3 hang-up scripts are okay, and the potential will not be worse than the ontology. Even because of its extreme purity, it may be stronger than the main body. The first Dao seed should be matured purely with its own life source, without integrating gamma divine power and magical energy. Lin Ke hung his hands in the air, and a pure white seed gradually condensed out. 3 minutes later, the seed was completely solid, and Lin Ke stuffed him into his chest. Suddenly, the seeds pulsated slowly, like a life. Lin Ke sank into the seed and began to design the cornerstone of evolution. Lin Ke named the seed Golden Superman. The core element is just 2 words, violence. 3 days later, Lin Ke left Kamar Taj, headed into the Avengers base, and took over Tony's lab. 24 laboratories are working simultaneously. In every laboratory, there are at least 2 duplications of Lin Ke. They're doing one thing, making battle suits. And the role of the battle suit is only one. That is to assist the Golden Superman to absorb sunlight. Lin's evolutionary path for Golden Superman is brutal. As long as there is sunshine, make me stronger. Crazy absorption, crazy evolution. Don't worry about ability. There is no need to worry about the mess of dimensions, will, and energy. Everything is left to the Dao seed with infinite potential to solve by itself. Chapter 53, Bound Immortal Rope, Chaos Summoning. Regarding Lin Ke's behavior of occupying his own laboratory, Tony is not only not angry, but also agrees with both hands, and wholeheartedly cooperates with Lin Ke's needs. He could tell that Lin Ke didn't like to owe favors. I believe that after this time, I can get some benefits again. Lin Ke, what is he doing? Lounge, Natasha Romanoff asked Tony. Battle suit. There was starlight in Tony's eyes. Maybe, I really only deserve to see Lin Ke's back. As far as the materials Lin Ke needed, he couldn't figure out how to make the battle suit at all. Is it a steel battle suit? Natasha Romanoff was surprised. No. Tony shook his head. At this moment, the phone rang, and he quickly connected it. Yes, I'm Tony. The materials will be delivered as soon as possible. I pay triple the price. Yeah, okay, that's it. 3 days later, a set of pure gold Superman battle suit has been built. Light and fluttering, like a flag. This is the highest masterpiece of all Lin Ke's current technological creations. Lin Ke, how did you do it? Compress that massive substance into this piece of clothing. The battle suit is ready, and Banner and others come to watch. In fact, compared to the technological content of this battle suit, they want to know who Lin Ke built it for. This battle suit is clearly intended for an adult. Natasha Romanoff had been secretly paying attention to Lin Ke, and suddenly, a golden light shone from the corner of her eye. A tall golden figure stepped out of Lin Ke's body and walked to the display rack step by step. Tony and the others backed away in shock. I saw the golden man stretching out his palm towards the golden battle suit, and his body slipped into it like water. It fit perfectly. Lin Ke, your duplication plan was successful? Hawkeye thought of something and said in surprise. Lin Ke nodded. These days he's multitasking, breeding Golden Superman nonstop. Now it's finally fully formed. Go and embark on your evolutionary path. Lin Ke murmured and summoned a portal. Gold Superman stepped inside. In the silent, deep sky, a golden figure appeared. As soon as the golden Superman came out, he was slightly taken aback. Portals can only teleport places that have been visited or places that can be imagined. Rabbits don't eat grass beside their nests. So Lin could directly imagine a fixed star bigger than the sun. So, here comes the problem. How big is the sun? The volume of the sun is 1.3 million times that of the Earth. And this fixed star is bigger than the sun. The consciousness of the golden Superman is Lin Ke. He faced fixed star, put away the shock in his heart, and plunged in. What Lin Ke didn't know was, his coquettish operation almost killed a magician. What did he do? Did he summon the beholder? Ancient One's lips trembled, and his soul and body were almost dry at this moment. If it weren't for the last moment, she invoked the power of the dark dimension, and now she has gone to see Emperor Wei Shan. Hey, what about the Ancient One people? Did you go to explore a different space again? Lin Ke, a portal, back to Kamartaj. Ancient One is very strict with itself. She only came back after going out for 3 days, so she should come to see herself as soon as possible. Even if you don't look at your own face, you still have to look at the golden Superman's face. That thing is not ordinary. After waiting for a while, but still did not see Ancient One, Lin Ke sat cross-legged on the futon and continued to study magic. Then he discovered that his magical energy had disappeared. Wrong. It was the magical energy of the Ancient One that was gone. It may be that an interstellar portal has been opened, and there are too many people in the group, Lin Ke thought to himself. That being the case, let's start his original practice. The accumulation in the body just happened to reach a bottleneck. Definitely, this bottleneck is only something he can break through. Shining silver light filled Lin Ke's body surface and soon filled the temple. Lin Ke grew up in this brilliance and finally grew to be 8 years old. The strength has also increased by about 10 times. The glow subsided, and Lin Ke looked at his body that had grown a bit and was secretly satisfied. At this time, the footsteps sounded. A black man with big eyes and protruding eyes and wearing a robe walked into the hall. Mr. Lin Ke, you are back. May I ask what happened just now? Emodu frowned and asked. This distinguished guest whom Ancient One ordered him to take special care of seemed a little restless. He disappeared for a few days without saying anything, and suddenly made such a movement. He continued, have you grown up a bit? Well, have you seen Sorcerer Supreme? I have already learned the spells in the book. Lin Ke pointed to the 4 magic books on the coffee table. Modu stepped forward, picked up the magic book, and immediately frowned even deeper. There are 3 complete collections of spells and techniques. You said you finished studying? Are you sure you're not kidding me? With all due respect, Mr. Lin Ke, I spent half a month on the most basic barrier technique. Modu showed the White Defense magic book. I don't really want to release them either. I just want to see the content. Lin Ke didn't want to argue too much. Modu laughed, turned around and left. I'll take you to the library. Lin Ke stopped thinking about using his spiritual power and followed. Ancient One is pretty good on its own. It's not good to bully her big apprentice while she is away. Mr. Lin Ke, you seem to have grown in age. On the way, Modu brought up the question again calmly. Obviously Lin Ke avoided it before. This has nothing to do with you, Lin Ke said impatiently. Modu laughed again, walked forward with a cold face, expressionless. Ancient One magician is very concerned about Lin Ke, and seems to be busy with his affairs these days. And myself, I don't know why. Even if asked, Ancient One magician would not say anything. This row is about ancient books about summoning, and there are also some ancient secret arts. Modu led Lin Ke into the library, came to a row of bookshelves, and slid his fingers across the ancient books. Look carefully, remember. Don't cause trouble. After speaking, Xiadu turned and left. Lin Ke stepped over and pulled out a book called Solomon's Little Key. As soon as the pages of the book were turned, a piece of parchment fell out. Lin Ke had quick eyesight and quick hands, and didn't let it fall to the ground. Unfold the parchment to reveal a pentagram and a sheep-headed demon in the center. Accept the great allies. Allies will fulfill all your wishes. For ordinary people, the irresistible bewitching words sounded in Lin Ke's ears. Okay. Lin Ke laughed. He was really sleepy and came to send a pillow. I really love this villain. Modu's little tricks can't hide it from him. Allies was overjoyed, and quickly inserted the tentacles of power into Lin Ke's body. Finally, through Lin Ke as a medium, he actually arrived in the present world. Ha 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 ha. Allies was dressed in scarlet, with a big sheep's head on his head, and laughed loudly. Let's do business after laughing enough. Lin Ke also shook his head with a faint smile. Your soul is mine. Allies slapped Lin Ke's head, sucked his soul into a storm, and he was about to ascend to heaven. 3 hours later, Lin Ke read all the summoning books, and instead of practicing immediately, he went to another row of bookshelves. Several ancient books took off automatically and spread out in front of him in rows. Allies followed suit, completely immersed in the world of hypnotic ability. At this moment, the library door opened. Mordo walked in. He frowned, turning a blind eye to the swaggering Lin Ke and allies. Where did you go again? With a murmur, Modu walked out of the library. 7 days later, Lin Ke sat cross-legged on the futon, holding the last unfinished ancient book. The pages of ancient books are like the surface of water, which will fluctuate as Lin Ke watches, constantly pouring out new knowledge. In the end, the book became limp and no new knowledge was born. Lin Ke shook it and put it back to its original position. Tesseract scarlet necklace? Thinking of the knowledge given by the living ancient books just now, Lin Ke Nanan said. He remembered this move. Dr. Strange used to bind Thanos. Immediately, Lin Ke sat down and began to comprehend and learn the vast amount of magical knowledge in his mind. 4 days later, you have studied the scarlet necklace of Tesseract, Hela's sigh of death, and the dark imprisonment of Dormammu. You have an epiphany, and your attraction to divine creatures has greatly increased, and you have created the immortal rope. Binding the immortal rope. Concentrate the binding fairy rope to create a strong bondage in the magic field to the bound target, which conceal the divinity and divine power of the gods. 6 days later, you have studied Demon's Call, Hell Summoning, and Demon Lord Summoning in depth. You have an epiphany, and your affinity for the Hell Plane has increased, and you have created Chaos Summoning. Chaos Summoning Technique. With a small amount of magic energy, Demon's Call is performed with infinite probability, and the summoned demons are completely random. Where there is chaos, there is probability, and where there is probability, you have opportunity. Compared to binding the fairy rope, this ability is much more interesting. Lin Ke smiled and touched Alai's sheep's head. Ailes has been providing him with magical energy, and now it has shrunk to a basketball file size, which is very funny. Do you want to create a technique that swallows the magic energy of demons? Lin Ke thought to himself. However, the status of demons is too low. In the eyes of real gods, the power of these things is no different from that of slugs, dirty and disgusting. You can only stay in the territory for a lifetime, and even invading other worlds requires a specific medium. Even Han Torek, who claims to have multiple levels of power, is like this. How about creating a demon blood purification? Lin Ke thought of this crop. His invincible understanding made it possible for him to implement any idea. But it doesn't make much sense. The power of demons comes from the soul, and this essence can hardly be changed. If it's a demon made with gamma divine power, I'm still interested. Lin Ke thought about it, and thought of a good way. Since I don't want to absorb the power of the devil, then build a set of utensils and enslave the devil. Just do it. Lin Ke cast Chaos Summoning. A big green guy appeared in the library, hissing and roaring. I'm a big fear demon, Tulia, who summoned. Before he could finish speaking, he was silenced by Lin Ke hypnotic ability. After Lin Ke confirmed that this guy could provide him with magical energy, he released the mirror space, and then slapped allies to death. I'm going back to my old job again, biological research. A month later, after undergoing an untold number of demon dissections, Lin Ke is now called a master of demonology, which is no exaggeration. The scene in the mirror space is horrible. Those with green bubbles, those with poisonous water, those with sheep's head, those with bull's head, those with tentacles, those with 8 legs, and all kinds of grotesque corpses of demons can be seen here. Territory and soul are the only 2 sources of power for demons. No wonder the upper limit has been so stretched. This is fundamentally different from OBA. Lin Ke's research on demons also includes a project. That is to inject gamma divine power into the demon's body. The result is, no demon can resist the divine power of divine power. When encountering a demon with gamma divine power, it is like a drop of water falling into the sea, and it will be swallowed up in an instant. It's like an ordinary god who has no power to fight back when encountering OA. It's time to go out. Lin Ke stretched out his hand to fish it out, and the 3 living demons were sucked into his hand. Call. Lin Ke opened his mouth, exhaled a super cold breath, and everything within 10,000 meters turned into snow sculptures. Immediately, the mirrored space shattered and turned into a demonic snow sculpture that shattered into crystal powder, floating like in an unknown different space. Lin Ke returned to the library. The moment he returned, a portal appeared under his feet. Through the portal, Lin Ke felt the breath of Ancient One and did not resist. Ancient One, what's wrong with you? Lin Ke appeared in a dark secret room, saw Ancient One who was haggard like an old man, and his expression changed suddenly. Who hurt you like this? Is it so difficult to find Sesnig's inscription? Hateful demons, I must enslave them severely. Lin Ke still has feelings for this bald magician. In order to help him, Ancient One doesn't even have a rounded bald head. Looking at the excited Lin Ke, Ancient One lay on the seat, smiled wryly. No, it's not that someone hurt me. Don't be afraid, even if it's Mephisto. I can deal with him now. Lin Ke said seriously. Ahem. Ancient One coughed lightly and said with a smile, it would be nice if you had this kind of heart, but my injury this time really has nothing to do with those lords of different dimensions. It was the portal you used that time. It consumed too much magical energy. Lin Ke's expression was stunned at the time. Immediately, he stepped forward to hold Ancient One's hand and said guiltily, Magician, don't worry, I will restore you to your original appearance. Maybe this is fate. Ancient One smiled wryly. She was looking for Sesnig's inscription for Lin Ke. That is, during that time, I did not watch Lin. Perhaps she should have stayed away from Lin Ke in the first place. Lin Ke heard the words, without further ado, took a drop of Ancient One's blood, observed it, compiled his own blood into a super healing medicine, integrated with Ancient One's blood, and re-injected into her body. In the blink of an eye, Ancient One regained his youth, and his thick black hair grew out. Ancient One was a little surprised, and said with a smile, it's useless. I've been corroded by magic energy. Whether she died in an old state or in a young state, it had no effect on her state of mind. This old magician has already reached the state of being unmoved by performance. It was Lin Ke's caring look that made her feel very relieved. Don't worry, I won't let you die. After all, you have my blood now. Lin Ke patted his chest and promised. When Thanos delivers the goods to your door, the so-called magic injury is just a matter of snapping your fingers. However, before that, Ancient One died, so it might be more troublesome, because she might go back to Sandy. Lin Ke, I came here because I have something else to say. Ancient One shook his head with a faint smile, looked at Lin Ke lovingly, and said, remember what you promised me. The next Sorcerer Supreme has appeared, and I need you to bring her back. Lin Ke said unexpectedly, so, Magician, has someone already chosen you? Ancient One nodded. Well, that girl is called Wanda. SHIELD is launching an operation against Sokovia, and she is there. Why okay, I'm going right now. Lin Ke nodded, opened the portal, and left. After Lin Ke left, Ancient One chuckled, his eyes full of wisdom. Compared to Strange, Wanda is the most suitable candidate for Sorcerer Supreme. As for Sithorn behind Wanda, and her unstable emotions isn't there Lin Ke. Chapter 54. She, the Sorcerer Supreme, is not some scheming idiot. Just when Ancient One was proud, the portal opened, and Lin Ke came back again. Instantly, Ancient One's heart stopped for a moment, and he asked with a smile, what's wrong? Why is there a return car? Didn't Lin Ke see the scene where I laughed just now? You have to take care. Don't die too early. Lin Ke said seriously. Save Ancient One. He's serious. He is obsessive. He likes perfection in everything, and he doesn't like imperfections. I still have to teach you in Wanda magic. Ancient One laughed. It's a deal. Lin Ke opened the portal and left. Ancient One breathed a sigh of relief. However, before the breath was over, the portal that was closing opened again. Ancient One. She had never hated a spell so much. If you're really going to die, don't throw that at Mogoi around. I'm useful. On the other side of the portal, Lin Ke said seriously. Do you want me to die, or do you want me to live? The corner of Ancient One's mouth twitched. Because of her self-cultivation, she couldn't help but raise her voice at this moment, and hurriedly said, let's go. Wanda needs you. Lin Ke nodded and closed the portal. After staring for a long time, confirming that Lin Ke is really gone, Ancient One suddenly felt that he could live another 20 years, and his brows were filled with joy. This kid, are you teasing me on purpose? Ancient One touched the corner of his upturned mouth, feeling a little uncertain. Sokovia. Deceptical. Strike. Autobots attack. Hydrabase, Megatron, and Qin Tianju descended from heaven. Sokovia is a country. SHIELD will definitely receive international pressure if it sends fighter jets there. But what do I care about shape-shifting King Kong? A large number of off-road vehicles were parked on the snow, and a large number of beast-shaped shape-shifting King Kong poured out of them, rushing to the Hydra base, fearless of bullets, destroying everything along the way. The battle was completely one-sided. Hawkeye and Natasha Romanoff sit in the off-road vehicle and observe the battlefield by satellite. Steve is on guard outside. What a terrifying cooperative combat ability. Hawkeye looked at the dead enemies one by one on the screen and exclaimed. Tony's voice came from the earphone. Definitely, this is shape-shifting King Kong, my invincible masterpiece. Natasha Romanoff said heartbroken. Tony, you are getting more and more shameless. Ha ha ha, if Lin Ke isn't here, I'm Lin Ke. What's the difference? Watching the shape-shifting King Kong killing all directions on the battlefield, Tony couldn't express his pride. After Lin Ke occupied the laboratory last time, he transferred some technology to him, and 427 allowed him to form a steel action team in a short time. Hawkeye couldn't stand his stinky fart and said loudly, Your machinery can't do fine work. Then, he looked at Natasha Romanoff and said, Natasha Romanoff, it's time for us to enter. Natasha Romanoff nodded and jumped out of the car. For the time being, there are still many combat objectives that cannot be achieved by shape-shifting King Kong, and agents must be used. Boom. On the other side, as soon as Hawkeye landed, he punched him in the face, and he flew upside down. A young man with short platinum blonde hair in a racing suit was looking at Hawkeye with a sneer. Bang bang bang. Natasha Romanoff used the off-road vehicle as cover and opened fire decisively. With a whoosh, Quicksilver disappeared in place, turned around, and suddenly appeared behind Captain America, punching him down. F***K. Are you being a gentleman? Hawkeye stood up, yelling. You idiot, do you think I don't know you're marksman? Quicksilver stopped and sneered. Steve and Hawkeye in the clearing don't fight. Is he going to fight Natasha Romanoff who has found cover? Since you know who we are, you should also know what I do. Steve pushed open the shield and said sincerely, Don't go any further, young man. There is no way for you to retreat. Quicksilver obviously has such a fast speed, but he only uses his fists, not a knife. With a knife, he and Hawkeye would be dead. As such, he sees Quicksilver as a go-to. Boom. Steve paid for his actions. Quicksilver knocked him into the air, then distanced himself and demanded angrily, Avenger, tell me, where is Tony? He is now extremely resentful towards these superheroes. Could it be that he is a good person who can be with arms dealers? Hey Speed Boy, I know Tony's there. Hawkeye put down his bow, looking like he didn't want to fight anymore. Where? Quicksilver was young and easily taken. He's right behind you. A mechanical bee landed silently on the back of Quicksilver's neck, its tail piercing into the flesh. The paralyzing toxin takes effect quickly. Quicksilver passed out. Steve pushed him back into the buggy. He won't wake up for 3 hours, Tony said in the comm channel. Tony, he seems to have a grudge against you, Steve said. Without Steve reminding him, Tony saw it too. In the command room with multiple virtual screens, Tony frowned, confirming again and again that he did not know. DBDC, Quicksilver. I don't have any impression of him. Maybe he is another poor kid brainwashed by HYDRA, Tony finally said. Steve nodded his understanding, deeply touched. There is progress. Suddenly, Tony's eyes lit up and he zoomed in on a virtual screen. A mechanical wolf discovers the psychic scepter. L33, bring back the psychic scepter. Tony ordered. Immediately, the owner of the field of vision made a move, stepped forward and grabbed the scepter, quickly retreated. Bump. At the moment when L33 was about to run out of the gate, it burst open. A woman in red has taken the scepter. Tony's complexion suddenly sank. JRVIS. Ask the nearby soldier-level shape-shifting King Kong to intercept it. Immediately, Tianji shape-shifted King Kong to the location of the incident just now. The data flow is shining in the eyes of the machine, and it makes the best action choice according to the 3D composition of the base. Wanda took the psychic scepter and ran wildly. Originally, she wanted to sit on the sidelines and wait for the rabbit, but she didn't expect that all the shape-shifting King Kong came. Pietro, Wanda is a little worried about Quicksilver's safety. As twin siblings, Wanda has a special psychic intuition for Quicksilver. Just now, a picture of Quicksilver fainting appeared in her mind, which made her extremely worried. Tread. 5 or 6 metal monsters appeared at both ends of the corridor, with machine guns on their shoulders aimed at Wanda. Don't move. The metal monster approached slowly, and the mechanical sound was cold and ruthless. Wanda's expression changed drastically. She gritted her teeth and rushed forward. The chaos force was released, and the metal monsters in front were blown away by the red energy. Maybe she was brainwashed by HYDRA. In the control room, Tony hesitated for a while, but still didn't let the shape-shifting King Kong shoot. Wanda ran out of the corner of the corridor, overjoyed. The metal monster in the back is chasing madly, the front is bright, and the exit is not far away. Suddenly, the light was blocked. A three-headed wolf, shape-shifting King Kong blocks the exit. In an instant, a sense of utter desperation arose in Wang Da's heart. Roar! The giant metal wolf rushed forward, its fangs gleaming coldly. Suddenly, a spark-splashing portal opened. Wanda plunged in, and the giant wolf ran away. In the snow, Lin Ke hugged Wanda and plunged his head into the softness. Wanda was amazed by the sudden space transformation, and suddenly she was brought to such a low level. She quickly pulled away. My momentum is not small, but the kid in front of me was not knocked away by her. Who are you? Wanda's mind was very flexible, and she asked tactfully, I am the magician of Kamartaj. You are the chosen one, and now I will take you away. Lin Ke opened his arms, very cleverly. Wanda blushed a little, and the sense organs on her chest became extremely sensitive. Lin Ke's spotless white shirt was grinning in the snow wind, and the muscle lines of his abdomen were faintly visible. The whole thing looked like a spring breeze and a round of sun. However, Wanda is not a nympho, she said calmly. I'm afraid I can't go with you now. My brother is in danger. Thank you for saving me. I'm leaving. Hearing this, Lin Ke smiled. The space door opened on his side, reached out to fish, and Quicksilver was pulled out by him. It is no exaggeration to say that the whole of Sokovia is within his perception range. As long as he wants to, he can clearly describe the crawling of ants 10 kilometers away. 2-year-old age is not in vain. With his current life potential and background, the cells feel that he should cross the 2-year dimension in order to have the best growth. It is conceivable how huge the evolutionary mystery is contained in it. Ordinary creatures can't catch up even if they evolve for 100 million years. Pietro, Wanda exclaimed, ignoring Lin Ke's strangeness, and hurried up to help him. He just passed out. Should I forcefully wake him up? Lin Ke opened the eye of true seeing and the microscopic perspective, and observed Wang Tian from 2 angles. Is this origin magic power? From a shallow perspective, this force is powerful and full of uncertainty. Hey, even the genes have changed? As expected of the person chosen by Sithorn, this is completely a natural adapter of origin magic power. What's wrong with you? Wanda felt a little uncomfortable being stared at. Nothing. I'll take you back to Kamartaj now. No problem? Lin Ke gave Wanda full respect. Definitely, no matter what choice Wanda has, Lin Ke will take her away. Regardless of the fact that she is a beautiful woman, the origin magic power she possesses is also an ability that Lin Ke wants very, very much. Origin magic power, summed up as probabilistic alter reality, all wishes come true, very abstract. In Wanda, Lin Ke saw the possibility of perfecting the Silver Superman training method. Good. Wanda gave a logical answer. The HYDRA base was destroyed. Originally, she doesn't know where to go now. She is well aware of the evil of this organization and has no memory of it. She and Quicksilver would have left long ago if she hadn't been thinking about getting revenge on Tony. By the way, my name is Lin Ke. Lin Ke smiled and opened the portal. Wanda Django Maximov. Tony, think of a way. Hawkeye said anxiously. Through the small monitor he wears, he finds that Quicksilver is missing. The door is obviously locked. I know. Don't worry. Frowning, Tony extracted Wanda's image data and searched through satellites. Soon, he found Wanda and read then. His eyes suddenly widened. Crack. Isn't this my elder brother? Tony's expression suddenly became exciting. Why did Lin Ke appear in Sokovia? Without waiting for him to think too much, Lin Ke opened a portal and walked in with Wanda. Wipe. Big brother is gone. What did Lin Ke do with Wanda? By the way, the psychic scepter is still in Wanda's hands. Based on Tony's understanding of Lin Ke, he probably won't be able to get the psychic scepter. But it's not a loss. Is that the space gate technology? It's so cool. Tony's eyes glowed hot. That spark portal may be the latest in space technology. Lin Shen is Lin Shen, and he can easily do things that he dare not imagine. Next time I see Lin Ke, we must come. After this operation is over, you can give Lin Ke Industry more profits. If you have nothing to do, you can visit Lin Ke's family and give gifts or something. Orientals like this. Kamartaj, Ancient One, I brought people here. Lin Ke and Wanda walked through the portal, facing tongue together. Wanda looked around, and then fixed her eyes on Ancient One. Ancient One wears a magician robe, elegant and calm, and his peaceful demeanor reveals the color of charity and wisdom. It seems to be an old man full of years of wisdom, but the face is very young. Wanda thought to herself, "Hello, Wanda." Ancient One walked slowly to the coffee table and made an inviting gesture. "If you don't suggest it, please let me tell you a story about the past." Wanda nodded and sat down cross-legged, somewhat unaccustomed to it. About nearly billions of years ago, the first batch of life was born on the earth. They are called the Old Gods. The ancient gods ruled the earth for hundreds of millions of years, until one day, one of the ancient gods discovered that devouring others of the same kind could wait for evolution. A battle broke out among the ancient gods, and one of them, the god of the underworld, Zithorn, stood out. Lin Ke, like Wanda, was listening. The story narrated by Ancient One is far more complete than that recorded in the book. That is to say, I am being targeted by such an ancient god? My super ability is not a mutant ability, but origin magic power? Wanda didn't doubt the authenticity of the matter. After all, magic has appeared. What else is impossible? That's right. Ancient One nodded. We Kamartaj hope to make you the new Sorcerer Supreme and lead you on the right path. You should know that your strength is dangerous. Wanda pondered for a moment, then nodded and agreed. I am willing to learn magic from you. Learning to control your own origin magic power is also to protect yourself from Zithorn. Wanda has no reason to refuse. It just so happens that she and Pietro have no place to live now. Good. Ancient One flicked the eye of Agamotto on his chest with his finger and said with a smile, "You may need to accompany Lin Ke to hell later, so we have to speed up the progress." Immediately, the eye of Agamotto shone green, enveloping Wanda. "Magician, aren't you afraid of Emperor Weishan?" Lin Ke asked out his doubts. Wanda is Zithorn's god's choice, and Wysandi and Zithorn are complete rivals. A big shot like that won't care what happens in a single universe. Ancient One shook his head lightly. Wysandi's tentacles are all over the multidimensional fields, and all kinds of weird things have happened to them. Before things are really critical, they will not attract too much attention. And Mataj owes no allegiance to anyone. Ancient One laughed. Lin Ke understood. Kamartaj is essentially a practice sect, not a follower of Vysandra. It's unlikely Wanda borrowed Vysandi's powers, but she didn't originally need to either. What do you mean by going to hell? Lin Ke asked instead. Ancient One smiled and said, "The clues to Cessnig's inscription have been found, and it's in the river Styx. Styx is a place name of hell." Lin Ke immediately said, "Then I will go now." Upon hearing this, Ancient One smiled and shook his head. "No, I foresee that your trip will be dangerous, and you need to be with Wanda. If you don't cultivate your relationship, who will take care of Wanda in the future?" "Danger?" Lin Ke whispered and took the psychic scepter. "I'm going to retreat for a while." Chapter 55. Infinite Gems was not born in the Big Bang, as Wang said, but originated elsewhere. Lin Ke divided the gods into 5 grades. The first gear, acquired gods, is represented by Odin and the gods in mythology. The second tier, the original gods, is represented by Gia and Zithorn. The third level, multi-universe consciousness gods, the representatives are the 5 creator gods. The fourth stage, the ancestor gods, was born before the birth of the universe, and the representative figure is Nemesis, the goddess of revenge. The source of infinite gems is Nemesis. Nemesis, defeated by Solitude, divided himself into 7 infinite gems scattered across the multi-universe. That's right. Infinite gems has 7. Another one is the ego gem. As long as you collect 7 infinite gems, you can't resurrect Nemesis. Kong the Conqueror has collected a cabinet of infinite gems, and Lin Ke suspects that he just wants to resurrect Nemesis. However, the self gem seems to be unique, and Kong the Conqueror has never been able to find it. Lin Ke naturally wanted the power of Nemesis, so he found a practice room and began to study the power of Mind Gem wholeheartedly. A month later, you have been comprehending the power of Mind Gem for a long time. The power of the mind has been greatly improved, and you have created the light of the mind, positive will. The light of the soul, positive will. Things will develop in the direction you expect. The stronger the will, the stronger the effect. The ability of epiphany is a bit strong this time. Lin Ke's eyes brightened. This is the first abstract level ability he has obtained. Who doesn't want to have their dreams come true? It's just a pity that Mind Gym doesn't seem to have the original power of Nemesis. Ancient One says there are dangers in hell. After thinking for a while, Lin Ke walked out of the secret room. This time, he really retreated completely for a month, without meeting Wanda and Ancient One. In the main hall, Ancient One is teaching Wanda spells. Under the dual teaching of Time Gym and Ancient One, Wanda has made rapid progress. Lin Ke, you are here. Seeing Lin Ke coming in, Wanda stopped practicing and became mad. She hasn't seen Lin Ke for a month, and she misses Lin Ke very much. Well, how is your cultivation going? Lin Ke smiled, walked up to Wanda, and hugged her. Other spells are okay, except for the protective spell. Wanda was slightly embarrassed. Origin magic power has a very high boost to occult and dark magic, and dimension is not very cold to white magic. You've done really well. Ancient One praised and said, Lin Ke, don't worry about things in hell. I haven't fully guided Wanda's origin magic power yet. No, I want to ask Magician for a little purgatory secret gold. Lin Ke highlighted the 3 demons in his palm and said, it's a bit inconvenient. Wanda was surprised and said, what is this, a figure? Lin Ke was speechless for a while and said, this is the demon I captured, and it is also the source of my magic energy. Hiss, immediately. Wanda took a deep breath and secretly breathed out the contrast. Are you not an orthodox Kamartaj magician? How to fix this? These days, Ancient One often told her about Kamartaj rules and so on. The devil is Kamartaj strike hard. In her eyes, Lin Ke's image began to change. No longer the sunny boy, but a magician who loves to use forbidden techniques. Wanda, I forgot to tell you, Lin Ke is not a magician of our sect. Don't learn from him. Ancient One is somewhat awkward. The existence of Lin Ke is rare in the entire multi-universe. Why? Because anyone who has a relationship with the devil basically has no good end, let alone using the devil as a power bank. Wanda nodded repeatedly. Wanda, I'll summon a few demons for you to practice with later. Seeing that Wanda was so obedient, Ancient One was slightly relieved, and said to Lin Ke, can you tell me your idea? Purgatory's secret gold is a special metal of hell, which has a strong affinity for demons, and she does have some. When Lin Ke heard this, he didn't speak, and directly threw the demons into the distance. Where is this? I am the throne of the blood skull? Soul, my soul. The demon returns to its original form halfway through, and its consciousness is awakened from the hypnotic ability. Whoosh whoosh. Lin Ke waved his hand, and 3 thin golden ropes flew out, wrapping around the 3 demons like poisonous snakes. Immediately, the 3 demons became silent, their violent energy restrained, and their eyes became harmless. What have you done, mortal? One of the demons shrunk quickly, and under the tall appearance propped up by magic was a blue-skinned toad with an octopus head. This is Tesseract's scarlet necklace. Ancient One's complexion changed suddenly, and he recognized the magic prototype of the fairy rope. That's right, this technique is now called immortal binding rope. Lin Ke smiled and nodded with a thought. He erased the mouths of the 3 demons and said to Ancient One, isn't demons hard to kill, especially those hell lords? So I want to use Purgatory's secret gold to make a container, lock them in. Wanda was stunned. So, you want to seal up all the demons you catch? Lin Ke shook his head and said, no, that would be too wasteful. I want to improve the fairy rope so that it has the function of absorbing the power of demons, so that I can throw demons into the container and extract their power more conveniently. It is not safe and convenient to control these demons with mirror flower, water moon, and moon reading for a long time. After all, demons have various abilities, and if they are not all, they will break free from hypnotic abilities one day. The magic attributes of demons are also very complicated. For example, now, he can only use the power of 1 demon at a time. Otherwise, it will affect the casting of spells. If he can evolve with the immortal rope, then he can use the power of all the demons together. As for whether the immortal binding rope can be improved, don't worry about this. As long as there is this inspiration and improvement direction, then things are basically a certainty. Lin Ke, I think you are the devil. Wanda couldn't help showing amazement in her eyes. Demons enslave humans and extract their souls, and Lin Ke enslaves the demons and extracts the magic power. The universal identities of humans and demons are directly reversed here at Lin Ke. Ancient One didn't scold Lin Ke for getting too close to the devil like those old-fashioned and decent magicians. Instead, after pondering for a moment, he nodded and said, I think it's feasible. Lin Ke's eyes lit up. can get the approval of the old magician, this matter is completely stable. After one day, in the palm of Lin Ke was floating a dark gold ring, flashing constantly. The upper limit of the material level is constantly being raised. Until a certain moment, the ring stopped emitting fire and completely reached the limit of the physical level. Lin Ke stopped the physical modification and began to compress the mirror space inside it. Buzz buzz, the golden ring trembled, and every time it trembled, the space inside it expanded by 1 point. I don't know how much time has passed. Lin Ke nodded in satisfaction and threw it in the air. Blessing mantras one by one, continuously engraved into it, including but not limited to suppressing evil spirits, trapping demons, banning, depriving, stealing, stressing, weakness, hunger and cold, exhaustion. Weakness. The devil who enters this ring in the future is really blessed. After a whole day, Lin Ke stopped blessing and let out a long breath. This should be enough. Lin Ke turned the dark gold ring in his hand, nodded in satisfaction. I'll call you the Lord of the Rings. If someone magnifies the Lord of the Rings 100 times, they will find that its smooth body is covered with incantations, circles within circles, circles within circles, circles within circles. Let alone the tens of thousands of spell secret texts, they are arranged in an orderly manner on the Lord of the Rings. Not only did not cause interference, but they also increased each other. 2 days later, you have studied the immortal rope binding seriously and have benefited a lot and pushed out the immortal binding rope binding immortal rope bite. On the basis of the original binding fairy rope, a special restraint on demons is added, which can absorb and purify the power of demons. It's done. A gleam appeared in Lin Ke's eyes. With the binding of the fairy rope and the chaos summoning technique, his magic energy is completely unnecessary, although it was borrowed. They borrowed magic from Ancient One, and they also borrowed magic. In comparison, he is finally a serious magician. Although the magic energy is no longer worrying, you still have to take what you should take. The Cessnig inscription, Lin Ke will not miss it. The sooner you get it, the better. Hell, after all, it's still a bit dangerous. Don't be bullied anymore. It's better to increase the means of fighting a little more. Lin Ke raised his hand, took out the scepter of the mind from the magic space, and learned the way of fighting with the mind gem. 5 days later, you have been comprehending the power of mind gem for a long time and discovered the mysterious connection between the mind and the body. You have an epiphany and created the light of the mind, Qianlong transformation. Light of the soul, Qianlong transformation. Borrow your own power after 3 years and return the trauma according to the borrowed power level afterwards. The power level after 3 years is determined according to the current development potential deduction. Explosive skill, it's not bad. Lin Ke nodded in satisfaction and began to sort out his own strength. The next morning, Lin Ke found Wanda and Ancient One. Seeing Lin Ke, Ancient One summoned the demon and taught Wanda how to fight the demon in the mirror space. These days Lin Ke is not only practicing, but also observing Wanda. Especially in her combat training, she never fails every time. Combat is one of the easiest things to unleash your potential. Ants. This time, the one summoned by Ancient One is a 3-headed demon, which is as high as 2 floors. When it runs, the ground will tremble. Wanda cast the form of Icon, and the 13 Wandas immediately dispersed, surrounding the 3 demons. 13 crimson energies firmly controlled the 3 demons. The 6 eyes of the 3 evil spirits kept turning, unable to confirm Wanda's real body. With a roar, the 3 blood pots spewed out blood flames, burning away in all directions. Before the rolling blood flame could be implemented, the scene became scorching hot, like a steaming oven. Shield of Seraphim. The 3 Wanda cast magic shields at the same time, blocking Arian's attack. Blood flames flowed, scalding the earth out of potholes. Asking for flowers, 03 demons roared, trying to get close to Wanda. The 13 Wandas, advancing instead of retreating, exerted more and more intense crimson energy on the 3 demons, tearing their bodies apart bit by bit. Tear. A few seconds later, the 3 demons were torn apart. 3 heads soared into the sky, turned into blood-colored vicious dogs, and rushed to one of them, Wanda, with the most vivid expression. The change was so sudden that Wanda obviously didn't expect it, but at the critical moment, she didn't panic. The powerful psychokinesis was activated, and the 3 vicious dogs turned into stones. The power of origin magic power is clearly revealed. Wanda was able to crush these existences weaker than hers. Targeted combat training is mainly to train Wanda's on-the-spot reaction and how to deal with various situations. Definitely, her control over origin magic power will also be promoted in the process. Call. Wanda exhaled lightly. It was the first time she had come across a body-splitting ability like the three demons. Lin Ke on the side nodded slightly. Wanda progressed faster and faster. It took less than 2 months from the rush at the beginning to the calm response now. What followed was several hours of high-intensity fighting. At the end of the battle, Wanda was only panting slightly. Wanda, the time has come. You go to hell with Lin Ke tomorrow. The three of them were walking in the corridor. Ancient One said to Wanda, "Tomorrow, yes." Wanda's heart tightened. She nodded and said affirmatively, "Teacher, I will protect Lin Ke well." Lin Ke touched his nose. Wanda seemed to have misunderstood something. "Yes, your mission this time is to escort Lin Ke and find Cessnig's inscription." Ancient One smiled, which seemed to be pushing the flames, and his eyes were full of fun. "Teacher, I understand. I won't let Lin Ke get hurt." Wanda clenched her fists tightly, her eyes determined. "When you come back, I will give you the position of Sorcerer Supreme." Ancient One looked at Wanda with a smile, and before Wanda could refute, she continued, "I will be able to live a retirement life by then, and finally I won't be so tired." Wanda, don't you think it's a big deal? I've been looking for someone for years. Don't think you can't take this responsibility. Now you are not weaker than me." Wanda was moved in her heart. She didn't say anything. She just nodded her head emphatically. At this moment, the three of them turned a corner and met Pietro and Modu. Pietro is now a shopper in Kamartash. There is no other reason. It runs fast. Not everyone has the luxury of traveling through portals like Lin Ke. Mordo panicked. The two have been listening here for a long time, and he wanted Pietro to take him, but Pietro didn't do so. "Wanda, are you going to hell?" Pietro asked a little excitedly. These days he is happy and relaxed in Kamartash. Now, he suddenly felt that the peaceful days were broken. Wanda nodded, looked at her brother, and said gently, "Pietro, during my absence, don't cause trouble and take good care of yourself." 11 Pietro waved his hands again and again. "No, no, no. Wanda, you can't go to hell. I heard from the magician here that it's an extremely dangerous place." Seeing this, Wanda shook her head and said, "The teacher said, there will be no risks in this journey." Pietro glared at Ancient One. Even though his brothers and sisters respected her very much, they couldn't risk Wanda like this. He questioned, "You can't deal with those Hell Lords, so how can you say that Wanda will not be at risk?" "Enough." Suddenly, Modu shouted loudly, waved his hand and released lightning, knocking Pietro into the air, and said coldly, "Kamartaj is not a place for you to run wild. Show some respect to Sorcerer Supreme." Wanda's expression changed suddenly, and she hurriedly stepped forward to help Pietro up. I saw that Pietro vomited blood and suffered serious burns on his chest. Wanda's body trembled, and she suddenly looked at Modu with resentment. Ancient One hurried forward, squatted down to check Pietro's injury, and said, "Calm down, Wanda. Use your ability to heal Pietro." Wanda waved her hand suddenly and sent out a burst of scarlet energy, which knocked Modu into the air, retaliated with an eye, and then turned to look at her brother. "Pietro, you'll be fine." Wanda holds Pietro's hand. Origin magic power takes effect, and Pietro's terrible injury is instantly repaired. Lin Ke's eyes lit up. "It seems that I still underestimated origin magic power. After Endgame, Wanda could modify reality town by town, and maybe she can now. After all, the person who taught her was Ancient One, and she was assisted by Time Gem during the period." Lin Ke didn't watch, and stepped forward to cast a recovery spell for Pietro. Pietro fully recovered, gasping for breath. At this time, more and more magicians gathered. "See Sorcerer Supreme. Did a mana rampage happen here?" "Wanda, Pietro, Modo Magician." Modu came out from the ruins, with bleeding from his mouth and nose, and a trace of deep fear in his eyes. Ancient One looked at Modu. All magicians also looked at Ancient One, waiting for an explanation. Chapter 56. Sorcerer Supreme has long hair now, though. But the majesty will not disappear because of the bald head. Modu, you hurt your fellow disciples, and you will be imprisoned for 2 months. Ancient One frowned and directly punished him. He didn't ask Modu whether he was punished or whether he wanted to defend himself. With the prestige of Ancient One, there is absolutely no need to say these things. Modu took a deep breath. His black face flushed. He nodded and said, "I see." After speaking, he left alone. Looking at his leaving back, Wang showed worry and murmured, "Modu, Okay, let's go, everyone. Ancient One faced the other magicians and said with a smile, "Isn't it lunchtime?" Canteen. Lin Ke and Wanda siblings are sitting at a table, eating pasta and cabbage. Taj's fried cabbage is a bit salty, and it's a bit black and smoky. Lin Ke ate with relish. Lin Ke, thank you. What Pietro said was that Lin Ke treated him. No big deal. Lin Ke didn't care and warned, "That MOD is a bit bad, be careful." "Thanks for your reminder." Pietro hesitated and said, "Can you not go to hell?" Lin Ke is the savior of him and Wanda. Although he knows that it is the main reason for Lin Ke to go to hell, but he will not get angry with Lin Ke. "This matter is very important to me." Lin Ke shook his head and said seriously, "Okay, then can you take me with you?" Pietro turned around. "Since it cannot be avoided, let's face it together." "No." This time, it was Wanda who disagreed. "Pietro, don't make trouble. You should know how strong Wanda is now. If you go, it will only be Lulu." Lin Ke's words were heart-rending. Pietro shut himself up immediately. His self-righteous speed is nothing in front of Wanda. Even a psychokinesis shield can't be broken. At this moment, Wang came to the table with a plate and said with a smile, "Can I sit with you?" Pietro hesitation look, stuffed. Sitting beside him, Wang said bluntly, "Can you tell me what happened before?" The hottest topic in Taj right now is what happened before. In the cafeteria, there were frequent glances at the two siblings. The two siblings are popular characters in Taj and are very popular with magicians. Especially Pietro, warm and kind, made many friends. Wang is one of them. Is such that Pietro said things a bit and did not add fuel to the cake. This matter, MOD was indeed impulsive. Wang sighed, looked at Pietro and said, "But Pietro, you are also at fault. You should not be the supreme master." Pietro lowered his head, also regretting his impulsive behavior at the time, and said, "I just don't understand why Sorcerer Supreme didn't go in person." Wang shook his head and said, "Magician has her own reasons. Let me ask you, how does Magician treat you? Is she a bad person? Will she do wrong things? What's more, she is also Wanda's teacher." Pietro lowered his head lower and lower, wanting to refute, but couldn't find a reason. Finally, he said sullenly, "I will go and apologize to her." Wang laughed, patted Pietro on the shoulder and said, "It's not shameful, and the magician won't blame you if you think about it." The confinement room is cramped and dark. Modu sat on the edge of the bed, looking numb. Just then, the door opened. Ancient One came in with food, put it on the table, and said with a smile, "Still angry?" Her eyebrows are soothing, like a kind elder. Mordo didn't speak. Seeing this, Ancient One said seriously, "Modu, I don't want you to have any dissatisfaction with Wanda. She is the next Sorcerer Supreme." Modu grinned and showed his white teeth, and said with a smile, "Yes, I can see that you have accepted a new disciple, and you have been taking her with you." During the 2 months that Ancient One kept Wanda by his side, he was always afraid that Ancient One would pass the throne to Wanda, and he was constantly worried. And now, the fear has come true. During this time, you should meditate well and clear away distracting thoughts. After Ancient One shook his head, he turned and left. Modu is her eldest disciple. Although he has bad intentions occasionally, he has always been diligent. Therefore, she can't punish Modu excessively because of the conflict between Modu and the Wanda brothers and sisters. Her time is running out, and she can't do everything properly. The conflict between Wanda and Modu can only be handled by the two parties themselves. After Ancient One left, Modu clenched his fists tightly, his black face blended with the darkness, and his expression was somewhat ferocious. "Ancient One, why do you want an outsider to inherit Taj? Could it be that I am not worthy? Don't you see my maintenance for you? You be *****. The crimson land spread endlessly. Volcanoes stood on it. Black smoke billowed, burning the red-black sky. Red lightning flashed in the sky, and 10 scenes of destruction. This is hell, and even the air is filled with a terrifying atmosphere, filled with death, chaos, unknown, and darkness. A black river about 100 miles wide and an unknown number of miles long runs through the land, like a sleeping python. Lin Ke and Wanda walk out from the portal. This is hell? Wanda looked vigilant, and she was dressed in a red magician robe, making her look like a queen. Jia. Look what I found. It's human. Suddenly, the Styx River surged, and a black-skinned demon rolled the waves, holding a steel fork, and laughed strangely. Lin Ke, back off. Wanda snarled and stood in front of Lin Ke. However, before she could make a move, a golden thread flew out, easily binding the black-skinned demon. What happened? The black-skinned demon was horrified and found that his power had disappeared. Afterwards, he saw the humans in front of him zoom in a little bit. Wrong. It's shrinking yourself. Lin Ke looked at the little thing in his hand, read his memory with the power of the mind, and put it into the Lord of the Rings. Immediately, the black-skinned demon's eyes changed. Before he could get used to it, he was tormented by a series of blessings and lost his mind. Where is this? The black-skinned devil screamed in his heart, only to feel his head was extremely dizzy and fell asleep within a second. A golden thread grew out of the ground, holding back his legs. If he can persist for a second longer, he will find that the ground is a pale gold color, completely composed of gold wires. I just read his memory. Outside, Lin Ke explained to Wanda, and then suggested, "This is the territory of the Great Demon Ball. Let's go find him." Reading memory? That sounds sinister. Wanda muttered in her heart, expressing her relief at Lin Ke's strength. It seems that she did not contribute to this mission alone. Afterwards, she heard Lin Ke's proposal, and her complexion changed immediately. Go directly? This is too dangerous. Let's check the situation first. Wanda's voice has changed a bit. The Archdemon is the second largest demon after the Lord of Hell. She encountered it once during training, and if Ancient One hadn't been there, she would have almost died. Since then, she has been afraid of the big devil. Lin Ke shook his head and said, "The hell is too big, and we may not find what we want in the normal way of searching. So, we're going to use something unusual. For example, go directly to the boss here." By the end, he had a smile on his face, like he didn't take hell seriously. Lin Ke, do you know how strong the Great Demon is? Wanda was speechless. Hell is not an amusement park. Take the initiative to find a big devil, and the minions under the opponent's command are enough to drink for a week. Didn't the teacher say that this journey will not be dangerous? But it doesn't look like it's safe from the looks of it. Don't worry, I'm here. Lin Ke laughed, hugged Wanda's slender waist, and flew at super high speed without giving her a chance to refute. If you really encounter a difficult guy, if you can't beat it, can't you still run away? When it comes to escape, Kamartaj's magician is a professional. Wanda was in a mess in the wind, and with an idea, he quickly persuaded. Can't you read the memory? Read a few more low-level demons. Maybe you can find the information on the inscription. As she spoke, she rubbed her body against Lin Ke, acting like a spoiled child. Lin Ke likes this one the most. You're right. Sure enough, Lin Ke stopped and his eyes lit up. Wanda happily casts an invisibility magic. What you do? Lin Ke looked at Wanda suspiciously. Go catch the devil. Wanda was also puzzled. There's such trouble there. Lin Ke understood Wanda's thoughts and was a little funny. I am a Superman, not a dark assassin. Then you mean? Wanda frowned. I saw Lin Ke raised his head and opened his mouth. There are humans here. The sound penetrates hundreds of miles, and the black is only scattered. Wanda was scared out of her wits, grabbed Lin Ke and wanted to run, and said angrily, What are you doing? She pulled Lin Ke hard, but she didn't pull it. She just waved a portal and wanted to return to the human world. Don't move. I'll take you to kill the devil. Lin Ke held Wanda's little hand speechlessly. Dignified Scarlet Witch, why not? You take me to kill the devil. You take me to be killed by the devil? Looking at the tide of demons rushing from all sides, Wanda wanted to cry but had no tears. I really can't go now. Humanity. It's really human. I saw the color of his soul, holy like a sun. That woman is mine. No one will steal it from me. The tide of demons was overwhelming. The ground trembled, and shrill laughter and cheers could be heard endlessly. Humanity. They actually saw humans in hell. Moreover, the souls of both of them are extraordinary, and they exude the fragrance of seducing demons from an unknown distance. Deathfinger. Cursed Thunder. Eye of Death. Hellfire. Countless magical attacks hit Lin Ke and the two of them. Lin Ke released a magic shield to block the curse and flew to an altitude of 10,000 meters with Wanda. Don't try to run. Flight demons soared into the sky, forming a large, densely packed area. Lin Ke launched the Divine Kingdom in his palm and threw the flight demon into the weight of the ring. Although the demons saw Lin Ke's tricks, they didn't take it seriously and continued to launch magical attacks, trying to knock Lin Ke down. From a high-altitude perspective, the demons below are exactly like a colorful dinner plate. Wanda, do you think they look like little snacks? Lin Ke tightened Wanda's waist, licked his lips and said, Lin Ke, what are you going to do? Wanda recovered from the initial shock and looked at Lin Ke in surprise. Lin Ke's magical powers come from demons. Wanda couldn't believe it. You're going to eat them? Lin Ke heard this. The corner of his mouth twitched, and he pinched Wang's big but hard. This offensive behavior made Wanda blush a little, but there was nothing radical about it. Lin Ke has the kind of temperament that is friendly to all things. As long as he wants to, even if others have only known him for a day, they will treat him as a close friend. Nobody hates sunlight unless they are originally filthy people. Not to mention that Lin Ke also saved Wanda's life and gave her a shelter. Wanda has long regarded Lin Ke as family. Even if Lin Ke has that idea, then there is, but we'll have to wait until he grows up. Anyway, after getting along day and night, she didn't want Lin Ke to be separated from her. I have such a strong taste, Lin Ke said speechlessly. I don't know what image I have in Wanda's eyes, but I think I can eat demons. Then what do you mean? Wanda was puzzled. Her beauty was still red. The way Lin Ke licked his lips just now really looked like a big villain. You look good. Lin Ke looked down at the demon disc, took a deep breath, and his chest puffed up. The endless heat energy transformed into a cold current in his mouth. Super cold breath. The cold current covering the world swept across the earth, and the ground for tens of miles was directly frozen. Thousands of high-level demons were fortunate enough to survive this crisis, but they were also seriously injured and shivering. Lin Ke nodded in satisfaction, and the overwhelming golden threads in the Lord of the Rings pierced through the air, hoisting all the thousands of demons and bringing them back. Only such high-level demons are eligible to enter the Lord of the Rings. Otherwise, it would be a waste of space. The scene of thousands of demons flying together was extremely shocking. Wanda covered her small mouth, and the shock in her heart was hard to express. 610 law after a long time. She spat out an extremely unskilled swear word from her small mouth. It was one of the few swearing moments of her life. No way. She really didn't know the words to express her current mood. At this moment, she understood what Ancient One said about no danger. The co-author is because Lin Ke is there, so I am not in danger. What did you say? Lin Ke's ears perked up, and he looked at Wanda seriously. Fact. Wanda parted her red lips hesitantly. Lin Ke nodded again and again, expecting. One more word. Pervert you. Thousands of demons were drawn into the ring. Their memories were searched by Lin Ke in an instant. The information on the inscription was not found, but instead, I learned a lot of various demonic magic. Demons are really a useful resource. Lin Ke praised inwardly. The magical energy that had been consumed was almost replenished now. He looked at Wanda and said, Don't worry now? Wanda nodded, blushing. The two moved away at a very high speed, leaving a world of ice and snow in place, like a huge blue spot on the terracotta. I don't know how long it took. A green-skinned devil came here. His eyes were terrified and excited. If he eats the flesh and blood of these demons, he will definitely improve a lot. When the soles of his feet stepped on the ice, the green-skinned devil felt the biting cold and hurriedly ran to a devil ice sculpture and smashed it with his fist. Snap, the demon ice sculpture shattered. What kind of flesh and blood is there? It's all ice crumbs. Lin Ke and Wanda continued to create blue spots along the way, killed countless demons, and headed all the way to Baal's territory. In order to make it easier to walk in hell, he wore a vest called Shazam for himself. Some of the surviving demons began to spread his notoriety. My lord, it's not good. The ice and snow demon is coming. In a city of purgatory, Balgao sat on the throne, listening to Trask's report below, frowning endlessly. Ice demon? What is that? Baal's voice was like rolling thunder, which made Trask's head dizzy. But Trask didn't dare to complain at this time. He stumbled and said, It's the ice and snow demon. Your Majesty, you should see for yourself. With that said, Trask moved his head to Bar's side. Trask has a remote sensing ability and is an important subordinate of Bar. Bar observed Trask's memory. His eyes suddenly popped out, and Lantern's big eyes were very excited. My lord, I think they are demons who have transformed into human forms in order to trap other demons. Trask bit his finger and said stupidly, No, they are pure human beings. Bar grinned ferociously and excitedly said, Go and gather the army. I haven't enjoyed the powerful magician's soul for a long time. If it's just a camouflage technique, it can't fool those cunning demons. Yes, Trask agreed loudly, but felt uneasy in his heart. How do you feel that the expressions of the king and those demons who are dying are exactly the same? Chapter 57. The city of Baal was built between three volcanoes. Magnificent. This is what he destroyed a planet and built it with all the treasures of that planet. Tens of thousands of demon soldiers are ready to go. Although they don't have a military appearance, they look really bluffing. You know I'm coming? Lin Ke and Wanda came out of nowhere, somewhat unexpectedly. Bar's snake-headed human body, in the shape of lava, is as high as 100 meters and accompanied him. Are you that ice demon? It's obviously a human being. Tell me, human magician, why did you come to hell? Lin Ke raised his eyebrows. This demon didn't act immediately, but he was a bit wise. But well, I didn't come to negotiate. Since you don't do it, then I will do it first. Lin Ke's chest puffed up. Irreverent human beings, who do you think I am? Bar roared. Following his thoughts, the magma in the three volcanoes spurted out, condensed into a fire dragon, and hit Lin Ke and the other two. Lin Ke flew high with Wanda, and the cold breath gushed out. In an instant, the three fire dragons were frozen, and more cold breath swept downward, and their power decreased. Most of the high-level demons lived in peace. Seeing this, Bar grinned loudly. Your attack is useless against me. Now, it's my turn. As he spoke, he pulled out the long flame whip from his waist. Did you know that I once conquered a planet? Do you know that my reputation spreads across the Styx? Did you know that my believers are spread across multiple dimensions? Idiot, it seems that you don't know anything. After Bar finished his mouthful, the long whip was thrown out fiercely, and it continued to lengthen. This is his artifact. The main body is the tendons of the magic dragon, and a lot of magic spells were added during the production process. Snapped. Lin Ke covered the field in his hands and grabbed the long whip. It seems that you are very familiar with sticks? The fluffy words came out of Lin Ke's mouth, a little happy. Bear's arm was strong, but the long whip did not move at all. He hastily cast 2 divine power spells and found that his strength was still inferior to Lin Ke's. How can this be? He once smashed the center of the earth with a whip. Is this really a human being? Where is the Protoss? What's this? Suddenly, Bar let go of his hand as if bitten by a snake. I saw thin golden lines climbing along the flame whip, and the flames were all extinguished wherever they passed. Bar had a strong premonition that if he continued to stalemate with Lin Ke and was contaminated by that thing, then he would definitely be in trouble. Lin Ke took the long whip into his hand and looked it over. At the moment, the flame of the long whip has faded, but the black and red whip body is still exquisite. Lin Ke felt that it could be used to smoke the goddess of death in the future, so he received it with magic. My artifact! Bar was furious. Where did you hide it? This time, he was really angry. 3 volcanoes erupted, and the frieze was shattered with the rumbling sound, and the magma was injected into Bar's body, causing his body to grow continuously, and soon reached a height of several hundred meters. Wanda moved closer to Lin Ke nervously. Your time has come, Aunt. Bear leaned down, staring at Lin Ke with terrifying fire pupils. Tisk! Lin Ke clicked his tongue, a little speechless. Become so big? This game is completely useless. If he doesn't deal with this guy, he will feel sorry for the fairy rope. In an instant, a large amount of magical energy was extracted from the Lord of the Rings by Lin Ke, and countless gold threads twisted the synthesis rope with his hands, wrapping around Ball like a giant python. Chop suey, what did you do? Bar's body quickly retracted, and finally returned to his real body, which was only 7 meters tall. It's not that he didn't think of ways during the period, such as splitting or energizing, but it didn't work at all. The moment he was bound by the thick golden rope, his strength could no longer be mobilized. The rope is like a space lock, locking up his will, thought, and strength. He can't even perceive believers in other dimensions now. Snort. Wanda saw that Bar was still so arrogant when he was tied up, so he immediately lost his mouth. Lin Ke glanced at the devil's nest below, and a few ice crystals began to appear on his body. This is elementalization. Wanda blinked. It was obvious that Lin Ke was about to release an ice method, but she didn't feel cold, and the surrounding temperature was very normal. What kind of control is this? Wanda is a little hard to imagine. Lin Ke puffed out his mouth, and the cold air raged for hundreds of miles around like a gust of wind. Some things along the road were all frozen, and no one was spared. Wanda's current perception is also extremely extraordinary. When she perceived everything that happened between heaven and earth, she couldn't help but tremble violently in her heart. This is too scary. What kind of magic is it that can do this step? Lin Ke, you are so strong. Even though Wanda was happy for Lin Ke's strength from the bottom of her heart, her tone couldn't help being a little sour. What is this? You will be better than me in the future. Lin Ke smiled and relieved. I added a sentence in my heart. Better than me now. Wanda is going crazy and can restart the multi-universe. The potential is immeasurable. Lin Ke and Wanda landed on the snow. Ball was led by Lin Ke like a dog. At this moment, he was trembling, looking at Lin Ke with fear in his eyes. I still like your rebellious look before. Lin Ke made a joke, restored his mouth and said, Do you know the inscription on Cessnig? Bar was taken aback, shook his head again and said, What is that? I don't know. Could it be this human being? Wrong. Could it be that this ice demon burned, killed, and looted all the way just to find that inscription? Seeing him like this, Lin Ke didn't seem to be lying. However, he still probed into Bar's brain with the power of his mind and performed a scan. The essence of the big devil is still a bit high. Lin Ke probed in with the power of his mind and saw a lot of information about chaos, which was extremely defective. Clearly, this is some kind of self-preservation mechanism. What you just learned comes in handy. Lin Ke chuckled lightly, and with a flick of his palm, Bear's soul was pulled out by him. Who is best at dealing with demons? Definitely the devil himself. My lord, what are you going to do? Don't. Bar's soul struggled frantically and felt a chill. Now he also experienced the feeling of those human beings facing him before. The soul is exposed naked, and people are staring at it with ill intentions. This feeling makes people pee their crotch. Don't struggle, Lin Ke whispered, and several demon spells were applied to Bar's soul. In an instant, Bar's soul was separated from it, and a large amount of emotion, memory, and psychic matter were exposed in a form that could be seen by the naked eye. Spirit extraction. Lin Ke smiled lightly, and with a flick of his palm, he grabbed Bale's memory and played it like a slideshow. Lin Ke, when did you learn this? Wanda asked in surprise. Kamartaj has no such spells. I learned from these demons, Lin Ke said. Demons are indeed unique, and all of them are masters at playing with the soul. Wanda's eyes lit up, and she happily said, Teach me later. Lin Ke nodded and said, No problem. While the two were chatting, Lin Ke had finished reading Bar's memory. It seems that he really doesn't know. Lin Ke rudely stuffed Bale's memory back, whispering, Bar has been lingering in the river Styx for nearly 10,000 years, but there is no information about Cessnig at all. It seems that this inscription is really hard to find. Moreover, to his surprise, this Bar actually knew Flame Giant Surti, and it was the kind of relationship that he called a brother. Surti was obviously more competitive, broke out of hell, and had his own demon town in the 9 realms. Yeah. Bar's soul nodded frantically. Then you are worthless. Lin Ke frowned. No. Bar had never felt that his thinking was so fast, and he said in a hurry, I am still valuable. I can help you summon other big demons. They must have the information you want. Bar became the leading party without hesitation. Very demonic. Despicable. Shameless. Despicable. Cunning. Deceitful. As expected of a demon who can become a great demon, he can bend and stretch. Lin Ke praised and then said, Tell me about your plan. Hearing this, Bar laughed, looking like a dog's leg. I just need to declare that I have captured a human magician, which can open the door to another world, and invite other great demons to go on an expedition together, and they will definitely come. Bar made a plan. After finishing speaking, he added, In addition, I can also say that I got another Cessnig's inscription from you. In this way, the person who has information about the inscription, or who has obtained the inscription, will definitely be hooked. Immediately, Lin Ke looked at Bar with admiration. This guy is a genius. After 3 demon days, have you heard that the Lord Ball captured a human magician and found the coordinates of a world? Wrong. That is a foreign ice demon called Shazam, who came to Styx just for my inscription. You are all wrong. Ball captured an ice demon and a human. Our city lord seems to have agreed to Bale's expedition invitation. Jia. I never thought that one day I would be able to join the Demon Alliance. I can't wait to taste the human soul. The forces near the Styx River were invited by Ball over and over again, and 2/4 of the great demons agreed to the expedition request and began to lead the army to assemble towards Bale's territory. And the big devil with the ability to travel through dimensions came one step ahead of the army. There are 4 respectively. Velasco, Satanish, Furnius, Jefaction. Jepai is a demon of lust, and his face is sometimes male and sometimes female. She and Furnius came together. The two demons are vassals of a hell lord named Solomon. Satanish is Dormammu's younger brother, has his own spiritual realm, tortures the souls in it day and night, and is powerful. Velasco is not a demon near the river Styx. He once owned a different dimension called Limbo, but after being defeated by his human adopted daughter, he finally survived and started wandering around. Hearing the news of the expedition this time, he also wanted to come here take a share. Ball, where is that human you speak of? We've been waiting for 3 days. If you don't hand over the man, we'll get angry. In the Great Hall of Ice and Snow, the Jeff faction took the lead in launching the attack. Demons are not good-tempered. However, to be honest, demons are just a general term for the evil people in hell. Some evil necromancers were originally human beings who were contaminated with the power of demons, so they are also called demons. And usually such people are not weak. Don't worry, I won't lie to you. Ball sat on the frozen throne, propped his cheek with one hand. His voice was like thunder, and he regained his previous majesty and domineering. Ball, I know you don't have the guts to play tricks on us, but if you don't show the real thing, I can only tear off your body and find it myself. Satanish sat on a stone chair, with an extremely strong green body, for eyes on his abdomen and face, staring at Bar, full of tyranny and domineering. Satanish, you are still so hot-tempered, huh? Ball laughed, obviously a little afraid of Satanish. At the moment, he was thinking in his mind whether the 5 demons working together could defeat the 2 gods of plague on the left and right. That's right, there were 2 people sitting beside Bar at the moment. Oh no, it's the 2 demons. Wanda is wearing a scarlet robe, origin magic power is floating, and the devil's breath is so pure that it can't be purer. She is like a queen. Lin Ke was covered in frost all over, and the cold air in the hall seemed to be faintly connected with him. He had an evil demonic aura, not weaker than the great demons in the slightest. Especially the dark gold magic ring in his hand has the strongest demonic aura, and the 4 big demons will cast their eyes greedily from time to time. Your Majesty Satanish, please don't embarrass Ball. That man is in my hands. Lin Ke suddenly made a sound, and Inbal made a rescue. Immediately, the eyes of all the demons looked at him. Lin Ke said something, and then said, the Scarlet Queen and I chased here from the outer dimension, and he caught it with great difficulty. Of course, it is impossible to hand it over to others, but it is still okay for you to take a look. As he spoke, he called out a person frozen in ice crystals. Judging by its appearance, it was strange. What pure flesh and blood. Jia Pai's eyes lit up, and he instantly turned into a woman who wanted to have S*X with strange. The corner of Lin Ke's mouth twitched undetectably. Strange was born out of his own genes. In a disguised form, this Strange is him. There is no way. The variant duplication ability integrate can transform the 3 cleans in one breath, and it cannot be used when the Dao species is out, so it can only be used as a bad strategy. To this end, he also specially developed an ability. Fau Yuanshan, Wang Nuozho. The biological composition separated from your body will irreversibly disintegrate without the permission of your will. This trick can prevent gene leakage very well. He didn't pay attention to this before, but now that he has come into contact with many fields, it is inevitable to be wary. In case awakening comes that day and discovers that there are several more clones of himself in the world, or that Mephisto extracts his sperm and cultivates a patricide. At that time, it will really be a big filial piety. There are many such plots in various fantasy works, so we have to guard against them. Sure enough, this kind of situation has happened. If this Jeff faction incarnates as Yujia and lurks beside me, I dare not think about the consequences. Lin Ke was secretly grateful. That's right. Lin Ke likes Yujia, familiar LL, student girl, glasses girl, engineering girl, motorcycle girl, blonde, white hair, black hair, short hair, bald. This won't work. As long as it is a beautiful girl, Lin Ke likes it very much. Therefore, he was quite afraid that he would be recruited. He seems to have no soul. Satanish found something and said aloud. Lin Ke pointed to his mouth with an evil smile. The demons understand. At this moment, Velasco said calmly, is the information on Cessnig's inscription hidden on his body? Everyone asked for a while what the Cessnig inscription was, so we stopped talking. Velasco's question was actually a bit abrupt. That's right. To be precise, it's in the world he lives in. Lin Ke nodded affirmatively and said, the energy of the Cessnig inscription is very powerful. This person was originally just an ordinary person, but after gaining the power of the inscription, he became a magician. Jepai and Furnius flashed a warm welcome in their eyes. Satanish didn't care. Velasco obviously forcibly suppressed his excitement, but his body still trembled uncontrollably, his face flushed. No wonder he was killed by his adoptive daughter. There is nothing in the city, Lin Ke whispered in his heart and locked Velasco. This guy definitely has the information of the inscription. Chapter 58. How about it, Satanish? I didn't lie to you. This is the body of a real human magician. Bar smiled and said to Satanish. Behind him is not only the resources of a world, but also a magic inscription that reaches heaven and earth. He said so in his mouth, but what he thought in his heart was a complete matter. Should we wait for all the great demons and armies to come and attack Lin Ke? Or should we take advantage of it now? There is a fairy rope in his stomach, although this thing can restrain him. As long as the other 4 big demons kill Lin Ke, this rope should also disappear. As the original demon, Satanish should have the ability to defeat Shazam, right? He couldn't help thinking secretly again. As the original devil, Satanish is his courage to dare to resist. What is the original demon? Here we have to talk about the nature of the devil. 10 billion years ago, the will of the earth became the creator and created the original gods such as Gia and Sithorn. Later, the evil original gods killed each other and fell into Mephisto. Gia awakened the will of the earth. Instead of creating the strongest god Adam, slaughtered most of the fallen gods. And the gods killed by Yadam, after the huge original energy in their bodies entered the different dimension, they came into contact with the land of hell and formed the first batch of demons. Satanish and Mephisto belong to this first group of demons. Although Satanish is not as good as Mephisto and the others, he is undoubtedly the #1 person under the Lord of Hell, and his strength is very terrifying. Speaking of which, the primordial demons are of the same nature as the new gods of Odin. It's just that the new gods were born in the world tree, and the original demons were born in hell. Enough. I'm not interested in any inscriptions. Since you are here, open the door to the world for me now. Satanish waved his hand and shouted sharply, interrupting Bar's words. Afterwards, he stood up, looked at Lin Ke and said, "Don't think about going on an expedition if you are a coward. You don't need to wait for the army to come. I can open the way for you with 10 people. Lin Ke fell silent after hearing this. The fish seems to have been caught. That being the case, he didn't want to wait any longer. Even if you really can't get the information, it's a big deal to conquer the entire Styx at that time. If you don't believe in gathering the power of all the demons, you still can't find the inscription." Just when Satanish waited impatiently and was about to get angry, Lin Ke suddenly raised his head and said with a smile, "Your proposal is very good." Satanish was taken aback for a moment and then laughed loudly, knowledgeable about current affairs. Before he finished speaking, the entire ice crystal palace was shattered. In an instant, the scene became golden. At this moment, countless gold threads buried in the ice emit a terrifying magical hum. The 830 demons present were suddenly breathless. Before they could react, the golden thread had already turned into a big cocoon, shrinking inward. Lin Ke pulled Wanda back and flew back. Where the two passed, the gold wires automatically shunted. "Did you make it?" Standing outside the golden cocoon, Wanda looked very worried. Lin Ke smiled without saying a word. The golden cocoon kept shrinking, finally revealing 5 bound demons. They were each bound by a gold rope as thick as a thumb and could not move. "Ball, you dare to entrap us." Jepai looked crazy. He couldn't feel the slightest power in his body now. Satanish's green face turned black, and his face was ferocious, staring at Lin Ke. "Dormammu will not let you go." Lin Ke didn't care about his threat, descended from the sky, threw the 4 demons into the ring, and picked up Velasco. Giggle. Velasco gritted his teeth, his face full of anger. Lin Ke opened a portal, came to a secluded basement with Wanda, and threw Velasco to the ground. "Is that him, Ho?" Wanda had also noticed Velasco's abnormality before. "It should be right." Lin Ke nodded and started searching for the soul directly. Wanda waited nervously and expectantly. If the inscription was in Velasco's place, their visit to hell would be over. After coming to hell, she always felt that she was being watched by something, which made her very uncomfortable. After a long while, Lin Ke got the information he wanted, looked up and laughed. Velasco not only knew the information of the inscription, and it's very detailed, because he used to be the owner of the Cessnig inscription, but now he was driven out of his original territory by his adoptive daughter, and the inscription remained there. Limbo of hell. Limbo is an extended dimension possessed in hell. At the moment, it wasn't long before Iriana defeated Velasco and became Queen of Hell. The passage of time in Limbo is much slower than the outside world. At the moment, Iriana was sorting through Velasco's black magic books, trying to find a way back to Earth. She was kidnapped by Velasco as a child. As Velasco's planned devouring target, she has been living in fear. After defeating Velasco, she wants to go back to her former home. Suddenly, she stopped flipping through the books and looked behind her. Lin Ke and Wanda stepped out of the spark gate in human form. Humanity? Iriana's cold and handsome black eyebrows raised, and there was a trace of curiosity in her expression. She didn't feel panicked or overwhelmed. In this alien space, she is an absolute subject. Hello, Iriana. Lin Ke looked at the blonde cool girl in front of him and said with a smile. This beautiful blonde girl was different from the girls he had met before. The immaturity on her face was replaced by coldness and firmness, and she looked at people with a bit of scrutiny, which was rare at her age. Who are you? How did you get here? Iriana glanced at Lin Ke and Wanda with indifferent eyes and closed the book. Lin Ke took out the bound Velasco from the Lord of the Rings, threw him to Iriana, and said, "This is the reward we paid you. We want to see the inscription with the original magic." Iriana's expression turned cold, and she called out the sharp blade of soul, stabbing Velasco into a chill. "No, you can't do this to me. I taught you magic. I gave you all this." Velasco screamed in pain, begging for mercy. Iriana was ruthless, and her boots stepped on Velasco's face, cutting him in half from top to bottom. Velasco turned into black light and dissipated, completely dead. Lin Ke focused on the soul blade. This sword is very unusual. He faintly felt a hint of being hurt on this sword. This is a weapon that can break through him. I have accepted the reward. Iriana withdrew her soul blade, looked at Lin Ke and asked, "Are you from Earth?" Lin Ke nodded. "That's right." Iriana's eyes lit up. "Can you give me the space coordinates of the Earth?" "No problem." Lin Ke continued to nod. Immediately, Wanda tugged at Lin Ke and whispered, "The coordinates of the Earth cannot be revealed casually. Kamartaj focuses on guarding against alien forces. What if the coordinates are leaked casually and the Earth is invaded? And this girl doesn't look like a kind person at first glance." "It's okay. She used to be from Earth." Lin Ke laughed. Wanda understood and said angrily, "Then why didn't you say it earlier?" Lin Ke gritted his teeth and said, "Isn't this in a hurry to find the inscription?" Wanda was pinching his waist. Her little hands were quite strong. The corners of Iriana's perfectly shaped mouth curled up. This unsmiling girl, who had hardly smiled in 6 years, showed a slight smile and said to Lin Ke, "Come with me." As she said that, a blue space door appeared in front of her, and she stepped in. Lin Ke and Wanda looked at each other and walked into the space door together. Behind the space door is a secret room with huge amounts of it. At the top there is a towering stone tablet, at least 7 or 8 meters high, with a heavy shape. Dense incantations are engraved on it. "This is what you're looking for." Iriana looked at the steel and said lightly. At the moment, the eyes of Lin Ke and Wanda were all attracted by the stone tablet. When Lin Ke saw the first incantation, he immediately perceived a steady stream of information. Explains the mysteries of the universe, life, and magic. Lin Ke quickly understood and absorbed, and soon learned the essence of primitive magic. Primal magic is the 4th primitive power alongside Phoenix Force, Fairy Power, and Chaos Force. It is the embodiment of the original cosmic energy, representing creation and destruction. Just as Lin Ke was tirelessly absorbing knowledge, suddenly, Wanda let out a soft cry. Lin Ke looked over immediately. Wanda rubbed her forehead, looking uncomfortable. At this time, Iriana said, "Your magic ability is very strong. When I saw the incantation, I fainted." Understanding this steel has nothing to do with strength, but with ability. Ilya, Dbeb, Na's magical ability is extremely good. Otherwise, Velasco would not have caught her to the border of hell and cultivated her carefully. "Thank you for the compliment," Wanda said politely. Lin Ke stepped on her head and touched her head and said, "Why don't I leave it to you after I learn it?" Cessnig set the threshold for this inscription, but as long as he understands it, it will be fine to pass it on to Wanda. Definitely, with Wanda's aptitude, sooner or later, she will be able to understand all the contents of this steel. "I want to try it myself." This is also a process of cultivation. Wanda hesitated at first, but later became firm. "It's really strong," Lin Ke thought, "but this Wanda is fine. She is not originally a girl who needs to rely on others to live. Oh yes, see. Wanda created a home for Vision. But now that I am here, there must be nothing wrong with Vision. Even, Lin Ke won't let Vision be born. Just watch it here, and if you need anything, just call my name. Iriana said lightly. 3 months later. You have gained insight into the true meaning of magic, and your understanding of elemental magic has reached its peak. You have gained insight into the true meaning of magic, and your understanding of soul magic has reached its peak. You have gained insight into the true meaning of magic, and your understanding of creating magic has reached its peak. You have gained insight into the true meaning of magic, and your understanding of destruction magic has reached its peak. You have gained insight into the true meaning of magic, and your understanding of life magic has reached its peak. You have gained insight into the true meaning of magic, and your understanding of space magic has reached its peak. You have gained insight into the true meaning of magic, and your understanding of time magic has reached its peak. You have observed and studied the content on the Sesnig magic stone tablet for a long time, and your life potential and magic potential have been greatly improved. You have an epiphany and created the primitive magic cultivation method. 1. Primitive magic practice method. Primal magic energy fills every substance dimension, with its own soul as the core, absorbs the original magic energy. Call. Lin Ke let out a long breath, his eyes sparkling. After 3 months, he finally understood all the content on the stone tablet and created a cultivation method. Primitive magic is the ultimate magic that surpasses all magic, and there is no record on how to practice it on the stone tablet. Lin Ke also came to realize it by himself through his unfathomable understanding. Let's practice for a while we have a lot of insights now. Lin Ke thought to himself, continue to practice. Now, he can finally perform magic without the power of demons. However, isn't the demon in The Lord of the Rings just the food for his cultivation? In The Lord of the Rings, the vitality of the demon was instantly drained. Those 4 big demons didn't last for an hour, and they all died one after another. The hegemony of primitive magic can be seen. Demons like Satanish have survived for an unknown number of years, and their accumulated energy is boundless. To put it more bluntly, the life evolution level of Satanish alone is comparable to a whole planet, and such an existence, under the squeeze of primitive magic, is like a newborn baby, without any power to fight back. This kind of power is really a bit perverted. Do you want to condense a magical Superman's Dao seed? After absorbing all the demon's vitality, Lin Ke's heart skipped a beat. For a long time, he shook his head and gave up the idea. Then, he looked at Wanda. Wanda's image has changed a lot now. The scarlet space squirmed around her, full of distortion and the atmosphere of chaos, supporting her whole body to float in the air. Origin magic power automatically condensed a set of battle robe and crown for her, revealing her arrogance. Seemingly aware of Lin Ke's gaze, Wanda landed from the sky and said with a smile, Lin Ke. Now Wanda, origin magic power has been completely awakening. A month ago, he was able to read the information on the inscription without barriers. Ability is not scary. It seems that you don't need my demon magic anymore. Lin Ke laughed. Wanda hugged Lin Ke and said gratefully, thank you. She knew that if it wasn't for Lin Ke, she would never have had the opportunity to participate in this steal. Then give me a kiss, Lin Ke said brazenly. Unexpectedly, Wanda really kissed him. Lin Ke laughed and said to Wanda, let me experience your chaos force. Wanda nodded, and a scarlet ball condensed on the palm of her hand. 3 hours later, through chaos force, you discovered the subtle connection between reality, fantasy, and matter, and you had an epiphany. Silver Superman Cultivation Method Youth Edition was upgraded to Silver Superman Cultivation Method, Alchemy 2.0. Silver Superman Practice Method 2.0. Any form of energy will become your energy source, and the solar spectrum will make your genes get huge amounts of positive transitions towards supreme and perfect evolution. You can imagine any ability you want. Currently has the power of 10 fixed star. It's finally complete. Lin Ke couldn't help but be overjoyed. Now he can be called the real Silver Superman. Find a chance to try to pull the planet. I want unlimited energy. With this thought in mind, Lin Ke made a calculation in his heart. The cultivation method is good in this way. All the situations can be controlled by oneself. Then he discovered that it is possible to want unlimited energy, but the energy can only be degraded. This did not surprise him. After all, if he imagined himself to be OA, and he really was, then Silver Superman wouldn't be Superman, but Almighty God. Double my raw magical energy. Lin Ke snapped his fingers and said as if making a wish. In an instant, the raw magical energy he possessed doubled, and his originally other energies were replaced accordingly. Seamless connection, without any loss and gap during the period. Entropy increase or something is nonsense to Lin Ke. Although Silver Superman has a bug, he still can't step on the left foot and take off in place. All energy needs a source. Perhaps only at the level of the ancestor gods can one ignore all laws. Perhaps the ancestor gods can't do it either, and the OAA can't do anything about Thanos. Dish. Lin Ke was a little swollen at this moment, thinking that OAA was not very good. Chapter 59. No way. With the Silver Superman cultivation method, Lin Ke is equivalent to having a lever, which can lever anything, and it is only natural to expand it a bit. He can perform dimension travel, time manipulation, space creation, illusion casting, size change, shape-shifting, possession, material reorganization. Only unexpected, nothing impossible. In fact, primal magic can also do this. But what if Silver Superman's imagination and raw magic combined? Double crushing of matter and magic. Absolutely strong and strengthened. The weight directly overshadows any dimension Mephisto, space overlord, and the like. Even, it can directly overthrow the authority of the 5 creation gods, compete with death for the authority of death, and infinitely rob infinite authority. Your home is actually my home. Your domain is actually my domain. Lin Ke feels that he can have another nickname now. Little Superman. Lin Ke, I think we need to leave. Wanda said at this time. Iriana has been waiting for us for a long time. These days, it's not just the two of them practicing. Iriana occasionally visits the two of them, and the frequency is getting more and more frequent. Obviously, she wanted to go to Earth some. Good. Lin Ke nodded. Anyway, he has obtained all the information on the inscription. Moreover, even if you want to come to enlightenment afterward, you can come to Iriana again. Saying that, the two opened the shuttle door and came to the library again. Iriana was still studying at the moment, and when she noticed the arrival of the two, she raised her head from the book, and there was a hint of joy in her eyes. She asked, "Finished?" Wanda nodded. "Well, we are planning to return to Earth now, Iriana. Please come with us." In an instant, a smile bloomed on Iriana's face. She nodded heavily. "Okay." Rumble. Suddenly, the whole world trembled. Iriana's expression changed drastically, and she hurried outside. I saw billowing black aura covering the sky. A huge face like the sky condensed out. Ha ha ha. Sithorn is right. There really is a different dimension here. Ha ha ha. Dormammu laughed wildly. His giant eyes were shining with a strange purple light, full of greed. His laughter couldn't stop at all, like a broken refrigerator, buzzing nonstop. It's Dormammu. Iriana's pretty face flashed a gloomy look. Oh. Lin Ke raised his eyebrows. Very interesting. This was the first time he saw the Lord of Hell. To be honest, it feels a little weak. It may also have something to do with a small breakthrough he just had. Things are in trouble. Iriana looked serious and said to Lin Ke, "Dormammu disturbed the space. Don't open the portal at this time." Lin Ke blinked, and before Iriana finished speaking, he snapped his fingers. A space door opened. On the other side of the space gate, the mountains and rivers are beautiful and thriving. Exactly where Kamartaj is. Dormammu's interference space is just the weight used, which is not worth mentioning in front of Lin Ke, and the gap is bigger than that of newborns and adults. Iriana got stuck and looked at Lin Ke in astonishment. Immediately, she took a deep breath and said solemnly, "Hurry up and go. The battle to come will hurt you." She intends to fight Dormammu alone. Anyway, it's been like this for these years, and I'm used to it. Let's go? Are you kidding me? Wanda put her hands on her hips. She has no intention of abandoning her companions. These days, although Iriana's behavior is very cold, she can feel that she is really good to herself and Lin Ke, just because I and Lin Ke are Earthlings. It's that simple. Hearing this, Iriana gave Wanda a deep look, and she remembered this favor. Then, she ceased to be mother-in-law and manifested the Soul Blade. At this time, Dormammu also lowered his eyes, looked at Iriana, and said arrogantly, "You are the Lord here. Give up this land, and I can spare your life." Lin Ke pouted, stood in front of the two women, and said, "I just heard a name. Sithorn?" Dormammu looked at Lin Ke with giant eyes like a canopy, and said with a smirk, "Boy, do you know Sithorn?" Lin Ke nodded. "Definitely, the lost dog who escaped from the Earth instant." The whole world was silent for a moment. Even Dormammu, The king of darkness, who is known as the multivariate cancer and devours countless real worlds, feels suffocated. A man in a blue cloak appeared in the sky without warning. Underworld, Sithorn appears. Can you say that again? Sithorn stared at Lin Ke coldly, with unimaginable anger. How old is it? How many years has it been since someone has called him that disparagingly? Calling him evil, dirty, mean doesn't matter. But the lost dog, this is the reverse scale in his heart. Damn you! Sithorn's inhuman finger pointed towards Lin Ke, and a blue magic electric current shot out. This is origin magic power in its purest form. The included chaos is set so that as long as Lin Ke is hit, he will die 100%. Lin Ke raised his hand and clapped. The blue lightning went back the same way. Hit Sithorn himself. With a bang, Sithorn was erased directly. Dormammu was dumbfounded by this scene, and Iriana was also dumbfounded. F***K. Where's my big brother? Dormammu felt a little flustered. Although the one just now was obviously not Sithorn's real body, but he was killed so easily, the performance is too dirty. At this time, Sithorn's furious voice sounded in the sky. Dormammu, swallow this dimension directly. I will assist you. Instantly, Dormammu's eyes lit up. Ha ha ha. It seems that this kid really angered Sithorn. Although he knew that he was being used as a pathfinder by Sithorn, it didn't matter, as long as it was beneficial. The entire dark dimension begins to descend. Looking at the dimensional power pouring in from the horizon, Lin Ke scratched his head. What happened? Still thinking about luring Dormammu. As a result, he didn't move much, and Dormammu fell into the trap of himself. Is it the effect of the light of the soul and the positive will? Do not care. Dormammu's true body descends. Multi-level boss? Really looking forward to it. Lin Ke is eager to try. At this time, Iriana jumped up, and she directly cut a crack in the black sky for dozens of miles. It's useless, it's useless. Dormammu laughed maniacally. The sky was pressed down, and most of the entire border of hell was shrouded in the dark dimension. Now, Dormammu is qualified to eat Iriana. Wanda made a move, propping up a scarlet energy barrier several kilometers away, clearing away all the surging black aura. But Sithorn suddenly appeared and pointed to Wanda. Wanda, see me. The terrifying origin magic power runs through. Wanda directly modified it and turned it into nothingness. Suddenly, Sithorn was obviously surprised. Not bad. Wanda has grown a lot. Lin Ke nodded inwardly. Originally, he wanted to lure Sithorn out, but now it seems that he should forget it. Sithorn will be left to Wanda to absorb in the future. A dark dimension is barely enough for his second seed to grow. Dormammu, I have to admire your boldness. Lin Ke teleported, appeared next to Sithorn, slapped him to death, and then looked at Dormammu. You want to use your brute force against me? I can't be killed. Dormammu didn't take Lin Ke's methods seriously. The moment his true body is revealed, the outcome will be decided. Brute force? Lin Ke raised his eyebrows, looked into the distance, and saw countless Death Stars shining in the dark dimension. The space is indeed not small, and each dimension is mixed with other dimensions. If it is fully unfolded, it may take a light meter. I really want to try it, but it's too wasteful. Lin Ke released his clenched fist, shook his head and said. Then, without waiting for Dormammu to talk, he put his hands on his chest and said with a smile, just let you see my second seed. It is your honor to be his nourishment. Dormammu suddenly laughed again. Only other things become the nourishment of the dark dimension. When did he become the difference between others? It's so. The second Lin Ke pulled his hand from his chest. Dormammu couldn't laugh anymore. A green baby appeared in the hands of Lin Ke. Go. My second seed. Everything. Underneath. The green baby was thrown into the dark dimension by Lin Ke. No. Dormammu yelped in panic like hell. He obviously knows what the color green stands for. The dark dimension keeps shrinking. But it's too late. In less than half a minute, the dark dimension completely withdrew from the border of hell. However, that doesn't mean it's over. Inside the dark dimension, alienation unimaginable to ordinary people is happening. Lin Ke, was that just now? When did you have a baby? Wanda looked away from the sky, looked at Lin Ke, and asked curiously. Goddamn, when will I have a baby? Lin Ke was speechless. Wanda's brain circuit is fine. He slapped Wanda's but hard and said, that's my incarnation outside the body, dedicated to destroying demons and heretics. After being beaten, Wanda gave Lin Ke a fierce look, with disgust on her face. Hey, why do I feel that thing is so evil? It can't be your black magic. Now, Lin Ke really didn't know what to say. There is indeed an effect of destroying demons under all things, but that thing has nothing to do with righteousness. Seeing Lin Ke's reaction, Wanda proudly said, I know you haven't done anything good all day. Lin Ke heard this and wanted to hit Wanda again. But Wanda noticed ahead of time and took a small step back. Iriana said faintly, I feel like I'm a bit redundant. Lin Ke looked calm and composed. Wanda was a little panicked and said, Lin Ke, let's go back to Earth now with Iriana. Lin Ke shook his head and said, no rush. As he said that, he looked at Iriana. Iriana, Sithorn has escaped now, and the border of hell has been exposed. Why don't you integrate this dimension into your body, or there will be constant troubles in the future? Iriana pondered. If the geographical border is integrated, her strength will be greatly increased, but she will also lose a safe place to retreat at any time. But if you don't integrate, what Lin Ke said is also very reasonable. Ask for flowers. Demons yearning for dimension space is never-ending. Owning a dimensional space is equivalent to reaching the sky in one step. Take Dormammu, for example. Based on the dark dimension land, constantly invading other worlds, is an existence that those so-called great gods are extremely troublesome. All right. After a long hesitation, Iriana nodded in agreement. Later, with the help of Lin Ke, Iriana integrated Limbo into her body without any twists and turns. In the tense expectation of Iriana, the three stepped into the portal. The beautiful scenery of Kamar Taj comes into view. Iriana just felt like a lifetime away. This is the world? Iriana's pretty little nose twitched, sniffing the fresh air. Lin Ke and Wanda were just watching, without disturbing. Suddenly, a space door next to it opened. Ancient One walked out, glanced at Iriana accidentally, then fell on Lin Ke, and said with a smile, It seems that your trip was very successful. Lin Ke nodded and said, Magician, do you remember what I told you before? Gu stunned. What? Lin Ke talks too much to her. She won't observe. After all, the use of Eye of Agamotto is actually a burden. I said, I will heal your wounds. Lin Ke smiled softly. The benefits of going to hell this time are too many. Thanks to Ancient One. Hearing this, Ancient One shook his head with a faint smile and was about to say something. Lin Ke raised his hand suddenly, and a life spell hit Ancient One. Ancient One was stunned immediately, feeling the old wounds in his body that were quickly dispelled, showing a hint of joy on his face. You actually learned primitive magic. Ancient One felt a little unbelievable. Hee, do you want to learn? I'll teach you. Lin Ke laughed. Ancient One naturally wanted to learn primitive magic. She smiled and said, Let's talk about it later. I will take you to meet a god now. God? Curiosity flashed across Lin's program. He looked at Iriana and said, Iriana, what are you going to do now? Iriana came back to her senses and said with a sense of loss, This doesn't seem to be my original world. As a woman, Wanda has a much more sensitive mind and hurriedly said, It's okay. Let's figure out a solution together. She has now regarded this younger sister who is a few years younger than her as a friend. The three spent a lot of time together in the border of hell, and they also faced Dormammu together. This experience is very precious. Then you might as well stay in Kamar Taj. You can learn magic from Gutaj and find your way home at the same time. Lin Ke said. Can't. Iriana nodded, and then said, But I want to go out for a stroll first. Lin thought for a while, condensed a magic pendant, and gave it to Iriana. If you encounter trouble, crush this. Sithorn probably didn't dare to come to Earth in person, but Balbuki had some other means. He himself doesn't care. The main reason is that he is afraid that there will be problems with the people around him. Thanks. Iriana accepted the necklace. Her cattail eyes narrowed, and she was a little less fierce. Goodbye then. Iriana temporarily left Kamar Taj. The power in that girl is very strong. Ancient One spoke with deep eyes. Lin Ke nodded with a smile and joked, Maybe even better than you, but the knowledge level is worse. Ancient One nodded and said, Go. I'll take you to meet my old friend. Old friend? God? Lin Ke became more and more curious about the person he was going to meet next. The three didn't open the portal or anything, just walked in Kamar Taj. Wanda, tell me what you have experienced in hell. I want to know how far you have grown. Ancient One's eyes sparkled. Old wounds healed. Ancient One's mentality has begun to change a little bit now, and it's not clear why, but after all, the feeling of death and silence before is gone. Okay, teacher. Wanda spoke with great interest. During the conversation, the two looked at Lin Ke frequently. The astonishment in Ancient One's eyes grew stronger. The two actually ran into Sithorn and scared each other back. It was an unimaginable experience. Ancient One sighed. My heart throbbed a little. It would be great if I was also on this adventure trip. I'm sure I can see a lot of different scenery. Ancient One. Next time I go to hell, I can take you with me. Lin Ke laughed. I can see what Ancient One is thinking. Ancient One has stayed in Kamartaj for too long, and I feel lonely. Are you still planning to go back? Ancient One said dumbly. Definitely. Lin Ke nodded. Demons are high-quality resources. Without going to hell, how can his primitive magic improve so quickly? The three chatted all the way, and the passing Kamartaj magician turned a blind eye to them. This is the method implemented by Ancient One. Obviously, this meeting with that god might be a little important. Ancient One doesn't want to be bothered. Not long after walking all the way, the three arrived at their destination. I saw that god. Lord of the Nine Realms, Odin 1. Chapter 60. Odin. Lin Ke looked at the white-bearded old man in front of him quite unexpectedly. Is he Odin? Suddenly, Wanda was surprised. Ancient One still told her what Asgard and Aesir are. In fact, the universe includes information beyond this universe, and Wanda knows a lot about it. After all, she is the appointed next Sorcerer Supreme, so she cannot be blindfolded. Hello, Lin Ke, Wanda. Odin was wearing a suit and smiling. The three sat down separately. Lin Ke said, What's the matter with you coming to see me? Looking at the attitude of Ancient One's previous intentional introduction, it doesn't seem like there is nothing wrong. Sure enough, Odin nodded and said, I don't have much time. I just wanted to visit an old friend, and then I heard about you from Ancient One. I have something to ask you. Ragnarok will bring it soon after my death, and I want you to delay it. Definitely, I'll pay for it. Odin didn't write ink and directly stated the cause and effect. Because Lin Ke is someone that Ancient One has greatly admired, so he didn't think about probing or testing. After all, his time was running out. Remuneration, talk about it. Lin Ke nodded. Suddenly, Odin's eyes lit up. Lin didn't say what Ragnarok was or what kind of troubles he would face, but asked directly about the compensation. This shows that he has a lot of confidence. Odin was happy and said, I have it in Asgard, you can have it. The meaning is very simple. As long as you can slow down Ragnarok, the reward is yours. Is that so? Lin Ke pondered. To be honest, Ade really has what he wants. For example, the blood of the ancient gods. If he is doing serious calculations now, he is at the supercell level, and he has to prepare for breaking through the multi-level. God bloodline is a good cornerstone of enlightenment. After all, even a non-original godlike for 5-7 can become an omniscient and omnipotent rune king after gaining the power of runes. There is no doubt about the power and potential of the ancient god bloodline. The planetary gods on Earth are different from other planetary gods. They start off as a ceiling. As long as they know how to advance, they can basically reach the multi-level. If I am both Silver Superman, Ancient God and Primordial God? Lin Ke was moved, looked at Odin and said, I can promise you, but I need your power of Odin, and I have to go to the World Tree Center. Hearing this, Odin's hand stroking the white beard slightly trembled. The World Tree is the birthplace of these second-generation ancient gods, and it is also the foundation for the interconnection of the 9 worlds. It may be more important than the entire Asgard. And the power of Odin. Every generation of the god kings of the Aesir gods will have the power of XX conceived in their bodies. Odin's is called the power of Odin, and Thor's is called the power of Thor. The power of Odin is the essence of power in his life. Odin was troubled. What about the 9 realms? Why is Asgard important? Moreover, Lin Ke doesn't seem to go to the World Tree to destroy it. The problem is the power of Odin. He intends to leave this thing to Thor as a whole card. At this time, ahem. Ancient One suddenly coughed twice. Ancient One, your injury. Odin was attracted by Ancient One, and in an instant, he noticed something, and his pupils shrank. That's right. My magic wound has been healed by Lin Ke. Ancient One smiled. Odin's heart was full of turmoil. After a long time, he looked at Lin Ke. Lin Ke, I wonder if you can heal me? No one wants to die. Odin has been the god king for so long, and he doesn't even want to die. Can't. Lin Ke shook his head. Odin's death was a death in fate. If disturbed, the fixation will attract the attention of the goddess of death. He doesn't want to do that now. All right. Odin was a little disappointed, but after being disappointed, he was happy again. The stronger Lin Ke is, the less he will lose as a party to the deal. He opened the mouth and said, I can agree to your conditions, but let's listen to what will happen in Ragnarok this time. After I die, my eldest daughter Hela will break the seal. Her strength is not weaker than mine, and she once fought with me in the 9 realms. She was full of hatred for me, and she was violent and aggressive. She was Ragnarok's #1 inducement, but she is my daughter after all. So I want you to stop her and let her guard Asgard. Odin's abacus crackled. Not only want Lin Ke to repel Hela, but also want Hela to turn into a force to protect Asgard. Can't. Lin Ke didn't think anything of it. It should be easy for him to pack a Hela now. Even if you are disobedient, just wear a collar. Monkey King is so crazy. Wearing a golden hoop, he is honest. After Lin Ke traveled through, the timeline has actually been changing. Because of his appearance, Tony gave up the main responsibilities of the Avengers to a certain extent. Thor did not follow the Avengers alliance, and spent most of his time with Odin, learning to govern the country. Then, he realized that his father might really be dying, and he had been doing his filial piety by his bedside. Loki doesn't get much chance to mess with his old father either. Therefore, at the moment Odin, it wasn't that Loki deprived him of his divine power and fell to the earth, but he sneaked out on his own initiative. Good. I pass on the power of Odin to you now. Odin couldn't help but be delighted. Don't worry, I have to go home. My family hasn't seen me for a long time. There was a hint of softness in Lin Ke's eyes. Although the interval is not long, but he already misses Hill and the others. Because of the withdrawal of the duplication, he still doesn't know what happened to Hill. No problem, but I'm running out of time. A month at the latest. Odin nodded. Excuse me. Lin Ke stood up and nodded to Odin very politely. Lin Ke building. Simmons' room. Several white tights of the same style hung on one side of the room. Simmons was lying on the bed, scrolling through the news about Amazing Girl with a happy face. Marvel Girl is the newest superhero. Brave, kind, and powerful. To ask who the real self of the Amazing Girl is. That definitely is her Simmons. Supergirl. He. Simmons rolled around with a smirk in his mouth. The new female superhero is not just her. There is also Jimbo Girl, Angel. Vibration Girl is Sky. Angel is Mia. Because reporters often see the 3 acting together, the 3 of them are called Supergirls and have a large number of fans. In fact, the 3 of them go out to act once a month, just as a pastime. Most of the time, they just draw their swords to help when they see injustice, and use their superhero status as a cover. Among them, Simmons is the most active and Mia is the least active. And Sky is more inclined to do charity. If only I had acted once with Lorna, so there would be 4 Supergirls. Simmons picked up the cream cake on the side and said, Unfortunately, Lorna seems to be more interested in the mutant thing. Snapped. Suddenly, Simmons felt his asterisk was attacked. The cream cake in his hand was all over his face. Who's sneaking up on the great Marvel girls? Lin Ke. Lin Ke. You are back. Simmons turned his head in shock and found that it was Lin Ke, and jumped up in surprise. Hey, Simmons, what are you doing? Lin Ke looked disgusted and tried to push her away. Simmons's face was covered with white cream, like a white-headed lion. Damn Lin Ke. You dare to despise me. You must eat it all. Simmons didn't care, and quickly suppressed Lin Ke, kissing and kissing nonstop. The two got tired of it for a while, and Simmons didn't stop until the cream was used up. She was pressing on Lin Ke, and was about to announce the victory in a heroic manner, when suddenly it bounced off like an electric shock, and her face was flushed. Lin Ke, you. Simmons spoke incoherently, his eyes fixed on him. American boys have very early puberty, ending their first puberty by the age of 12. But Lin Ke's development was naturally earlier. Look what, it's not your fault. Lin Ke was annoyed, flipped Simmons over, sat on her waist, and began to drum her buttocks. D Lin Ke. Let me go. Do you know who I am now? Simmons is very defiant. Lin Ke was unmoved, and ruthlessly slapped him hard and said, Simmons, you have gained a lot of weight recently. Simmons blushed and argued. No way. Girls love sweets and I am a girl's normal weight. Lin Ke nodded secretly. Really normal weight. At least it feels good in the hand. With the Angel Cultivation Method, Simmons wants to gain weight, and the cells will not allow it. This is just right. Thinking of this, Lin Ke slapped him hard again. The Angel Cultivation Method created by myself. Wouldn't this guy be used as a sharp weapon for dazzling snacks, right? Tell me quickly, what happened at home during the time I was away? I heard that Lin Ke came home. The Hill girls hurriedly put down their work. After chatting with parents all afternoon, Everyone cooked a meal together. The final product is not top-notch delicious. Although there are Hill and Lin Ke in control of the overall situation, but several girls can't stand it in turn. Especially this guy Simmons. What can he do? Steal the first place. How much Lin Ke cooks and how much she eats is outrageous. If it weren't for everyone attacking it together, it is estimated that they will continue to eat. The whole cooking process is fun. The dishes made by oneself are more enjoyable to eat. People who cook usually can't help calling others to come and eat quickly. It is to let others taste their labor and pay tribute. Hill, Lin Ke shouted. In an instant, all eyes were on her. Lin Ke originally wanted to say, introduce a new family member to everyone. Wanda. But seeing the joyful little eyes of everyone, I feel that this is not the right time. So, he changed the subject and said, how is Stark Industry doing now? Is it competing with us? Mia shook her head, answered for Hill, and said with a smile, no, Tony still comes to our place often, saying that he wants to give gifts or something, but Hill and I refuse. Both of them were afraid that there might be a bugging device in the gift. Among them, Tony's reputation is not good. Business and business, anything can happen. Simmons nodded and said proudly, although the little Iron Man he sent last time is very technological, and I like it very much, but who doesn't know that she is your apprentice, so none of us want defective products. Lin Ke gave Simmons a sideways look. That's what I said. Don't you just want a gift? A trace of memory appeared on Lorna's delicate face. She nodded repeatedly and said, yes, it's really getting stronger and stronger, okay. Lorna also learned badly. Sky rested his chin in one hand and stared at Lin Ke with beautiful eyes. During the time you left, Stark Industrial's housekeeping robots sold well all over the world, and the Starlink project has also received investment from the 5 major countries. Oh cock, I see. Lin Ke could only raise his hands in surrender, with a wry smile on his face. Now, he didn't dare to mention Wanda's matter at all, and hurriedly buried his head in cooking. For my own departure. All the women are very angry. It seems that this time I will spend more time with them. Otherwise, Asgard might not be able to go by himself. A whole month. Lin Ke is accompanying Lorna and the others. Go shopping, travel, watch movies, definitely have a picnic. Looking at the night sky and the grassland, the stars in the sky seemed to be within reach. Lin Ke felt that he would never forget that scene for the rest of his life. In addition to casual daily entertainment, definitely, inventions have not been missed. In addition to designing new energy-supporting facilities, it has also left behind a technical reserve sufficient to dominate for a century. During the period, Lin Ke also went to the Avengers base with Hill. A large number of new products of Lin Ke Industry are on the market, and it is necessary to divide the benefits with Stark Industry. Now, Tony's Starlink project occupies all of Avengers. The Avengers have nothing to do. Just protect Tony. Natasha Romanoff was very happy to meet Lin Ke, but it's still the same. It burned and burned very much, but she refused to do it. The stockings kept rubbing. Lin Ke's thigh is okay, but he needs to move 3 points, so he probably told Hill when he turned around. Kamartosh, Lin Ke Odin again. This guy is really dying. He is dying. His vitality is weak like a small flame. You are finally back. Odin smiled wryly. Lin Ke nodded and said, I've been waiting for a long time. It's not just a long wait. Odin almost thought that Lin Ke would not come back. Wanda pulled Lin Ke's shoulder, a little sticky. It's been a month, and she misses Lin Ke very much. I feel that without Lin Ke, life would be much more boring. In the past, she might be able to bear this kind of boring and lonely, but after having Lin Ke, she can't. It's like there is a little sun in life, but suddenly one day, this sun disappears. It's hard for anyone to change. Odin smiled bitterly and said, It's nothing. I just hope you can fulfill my request. Seeing his appearance, Lin Ke nodded. Since that's the case, then I'll let you see how Hela lost with your own eyes. Hearing this, Odin's eyes lit up. Afterwards, under the witness of Ancient One, the 2 parties reached an oath. Lin Ke helps Asgard repel and subdue Hela. Odin 1.9 Ding gave the power of Odin and took Lin Ke to the World Tree Center. The moment Odin gave Lin Ke the power of Odin, he became an ordinary old man. At the same time, Hela seal is lifted. Norway. On the plain, the wind is surging. Hela wore a black battle suit, slowly raised her eyes, and stared at Ilau, who suddenly appeared. Odin, are you here to die? The corners of Hela's mouth rose, not hiding his sarcasm. Hela, is there no way to go back in time? Odin said distressedly. Hela laughed angrily. Just because I disagree with this old guy's political views, I was exiled and sealed. Now you tell me to go back in time? Odin, you are getting more and more shameless. I remember you were very tyrannical. Hela condensed a black rapier. Now, where is your kingly spirit? Before she finished speaking, she came to Odin. She wanted to stab Li Gong to death. Lin Ke raised his hand and grasped the rapier. Next second, 3 appear in Asgard. If you want to fight, you can fight here. Don't break the earth. This is Asgard. Hela was ecstatic. Here, her strength will only become stronger. Ha ha ha, God help me too. Odin, it seems that you are really old-fashioned. Hela laughed. What a great day today. Stop laughing. Lin Ke was speechless. Hela is now in his eyes, just like a kid playing tricks. Hela put her hands on her hips and pointed at Lin Ke with her slender fingers. Looking at your achievements this time, are you willing to surrender and conquer the world with me? Lin Ke said, have you eaten? Hela didn't understand why she was asked. I ask you if you want to surrender, but you ask if you eat or not. What to eat if you don't eat it? Give me a punch. With a smirk on Lin's face, he punched Hela from the air. Chapter 61. A human-shaped meteor flew out of Asgard at a speed second only to the speed of light and crashed into an unknown satellite. Lin Ke teleported over. His eyes shot out heat and cut Hela in two. Immediately, a bloody mess. The divine power of death turned into black mist, trying to make up for the body, but couldn't. Lin Ke's heat vision, with a touch of raw magic. Say no to Hela. Even if Sithorn hits head-on, it's not easy to bear. Who are you? There was a trace of fear in Hela's expression. It is the fear of death and the unknown. Lin Ke put his hands on his hips and looked indifferently. Lin Ke, you can call me Supreme Superman? Hela was taken aback. She had never heard of this name. Don't know where Odin got such a fierce man. Lin Ke said lightly, if you are willing to surrender, I will spare your life. When Hela heard this, it was as if she had heard some big joke, and she laughed wildly. Surrender? Ha 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 ha. This is the funniest joke I've ever heard. In this universe, there is nothing that can make me surrender. The original Odin couldn't do it, and neither can you. Hela felt that Lin Ke was a little out of touch. She can die, but she will never surrender. I'm not like Odin. Lin Ke shook his head, looking slightly cold. What do you mean? Under the dual effects of Yuedu and Jingwa Shuiyu, Hela has gone through countless reincarnations. Eventually, she was put on a collar. Hela's face was numb. She didn't know if it was real or fake. In the illusion, she has succeeded countless times and failed countless times. But in the end, it all ended in a fantasy dream. This is the real world. Lin Ke laughed. Now he is holding a fairy rope in his hand, and Hela is kneeling on the other end. No way. This woman Hela is too arrogant. In the infinite hypnotic ability, making her a sage or something probably can be done. But that's not Lin Ke's style. He is not a philanthropist or a Buddha who specializes in crossing people and practicing. Besides, it's quite normal for the Buddha to take a mount or something, right? Get up. Lin Ke pulled the rope. Hela stood up as if she was ashamed. Lin Ke shook his head and said, this is really real. If you act like a dead fish again, I will use primitive magic to forcibly distort your values. Moment. Hela is like a cat whose tail has been stepped on, waking up with a start. The will is twisted. This is something she cannot accept anyway. Now, she has nothing left but her will. If even the will is manipulated, is she still her? Sir Hela, see the master. Hela knelt down on one knee, looking submissive. Lin Ke smiled in satisfaction and stepped forward to rub her long black hair. Come on, come with me to see Odin, behave normally. After speaking, he put away the fairy rope. Hela looked at Lin Ke, who was close at hand, and couldn't think of any sneak attack. She'd done it in the illusion, and it ended badly. Master, tell me what is true. Hela lifted up her sharp and glamorous face, boldly looking straight into Lin Ke's eyes. Lin Ke. The air was silent for a moment. Didn't I say it? Here is the truth. Lin Ke felt that this woman was a bit uneducated. Next second, put your arms around him. I'm going to do something I've never done before. This is Lin Ke's first time riding a big ocean horse. How do you feel? Describe it in one word. Cool. Hela is like crazy, very crazy. In the back, Lin Ke is also rare, and temporarily gave up evolution and used an adult body. From being beaten, it suddenly changed to beating someone. Identity changes quickly. Lin Ke showed a set of clothes and put them on. Cancel the black mist covering the entire planet. Let him know, will he kill me? Lin Ke felt a little guilty in his heart. I now confirm that this is true. Hela's brows are full of charm. Lin Ke's heart was moved severely. This guy Hela is really willing to play anything, and he doesn't care about humiliation. But the temperament is so cold and noble. Go away. Lin Ke shook his head. Business matters. The two returned to Asgard. At the moment, Odin, Thor, and Loki stand in Asgard, with different complexions. Heimdall, what's going on? Odin asks Heimdall, who is nearby. It has been a day and a night since the battle between Lin Ke and Hela started. Can't see clearly. Heimdall shook his head. Father, why don't you let me help? Thor said anxiously. Although he has studied with the old father for a long time, he is still a little impatient. No. Odin shook his head. Paying such a high price, if Lin Ke still can't beat Hela, then Lin Ke should just die. At this time, Heimdall's expression changed, and he said, there is movement. Suddenly, everyone's spirits shook. Before they could say anything, the portal opened ahead, and Lin Ke and Hela walked out side by side. Lin Ke, Odin's aging body glowed with vitality, and his eyes sparkled. Thor and Loki are wary. It's just that while Thor was vigilant, there was also a hint of intimacy in the eyes of Thor looking at Hela. This is his sister. Here in Thor, family affection may be the most important thing. Lin Ke, what did you and Hela go through? Seeing that Hela didn't intend to do anything, Odin's one-eyed eyes were full of joy. It's done. Hela has really been subdued. A great harmony of life. Hela's eyes under the black eyeshadow are a little teasing. Lin Ke grinned at the corner of his mouth. Your father is still here. You say this? Thank you, Lin Ke. Odin sincerely thanks. After finishing speaking, his body directly became light, and before he died, he exhorted. Let Hela take you to the world tree. I, Odin, formally confer on Lin Ke the title of prince and the title of king by side. As long as Asgard is alive, he enjoys the same status as the king. Thor was dumbfounded. There is a sister, but the father is gone. Another uncle? Loki rolled his eyes, stretched out his hand friendly, and said with a smile, Hi Lin Ke, my name is Loki, and I'm the prince of Asgard. Thor pushed him away, looked at Lin Ke, and said solemnly, Thank you for saving Asgard. Although Thor thinks he is stronger than Hela, but it doesn't mean that Lin Ke is not a benefactor. Side-by-side king or something. He doesn't care. On the contrary, it was Loki, who looked indifferent, who cared more about the prince status of this side-by-side king. It's just that he's a smarter person, and he won't rush out like a monkey until he finds out the truth. I hope your life is hard enough, Loki thought. No one can ride on his head. You are fine. Lin Ke nodded to Thor and said, Take me to see Surti. I will help you solve him together, and besides, I have to go to the treasure house to get some things. Thor frowned, nodded slightly, and said, Okay, I'll take you there now, but Surti is immortal. Are you sure you can kill him? Lin Ke smiled confidently. Just take me there. Next, the four go to meet the imprisoned Surti. Lin Ke directly used primitive magic to suck it up. This scene stunned Thor and Loki. In their impression, demons of this level cannot be killed. However, when Lin Ke opened his mouth, Surti, together with the dimensional power he was trapped in, turned into rations and was completely devoured. Loki was terrified. Thinking of the trick he was going to implement against Lin Ke, he almost peed his pants in fright. Such a cruel guy. If I really played tricks in front of him, I'm afraid he will be killed directly, right? Next, the four of them went to the treasure house. Hela held Lin Ke's hand the whole time. Women are strong. Goddesses are also excluded. Thor felt that there was something going on between the two of them and wanted to ask, but because of his naive temper, Hela dismissed him with a look. A group of people came to the treasure house. Every item here is extremely precious and placed outside. It is a powerful mythical item. In particular, there is Tesseract in it. Hela came here, just like returning to her own home, pulled up the infinity gauntlet, threw it away, and said disdainfully, Imitation. Thor quickly caught it in the air and put it back in place. Has she always been like this? Loki stared at the two people in front of him, whispered, How would I know? Thor shrugged, then educated. Loki, I need to remind you that she is your sister. Loki curls his lip. If it weren't for Lin Ke's face. She wants to kick Hela now. These are the trophies and treasures collected by Odin from his war against the 9 realms. How dare this woman look down on you so much? Before Odin dies, you devil. After Odin's death, good father. That's the Loki at the moment mentality. It's funny. Found it. Lin Ke picked up Tesseract. Hey. Don't mess with this. Thor hurried forward. Lin Ke didn't care, took out the space gem and threw it into the magic space, and threw the empty shell to Thor. What? Thor, people are stupid. Did Lin Ke touch the space gem with his hand just now? Why is he okay, however? I can't take care of that much right now. Lin Ke, the cosmic gem is not the same as other things. Thor didn't finish his sentence. Lin Ke interrupted with a wave of his hand. I know your worries, don't worry. The space gem is safest with me, Thor reminded. It has been targeted by a cosmic overlord. Are you sure you want to keep it? Lin Ke nodded and continued walking towards the next item. Soon, he found the casket of ancient winters and the eternal fire and put them away. After getting the space gem and 2 artifacts, Lin was in a great mood. Turning around, I found Thor with a mournful face and said with a smile, Don't be sad. I'll give you something nice. Thor was taken aback, but before he could react, Lin Ke tapped his forehead with a finger. Loki discovers his stupidity brother was stunned. Lin Ke and the two went out, and Thor was still in place. For a moment Loki didn't know where to go. Fortunately, he won't have to worry about it right away. Hela pulled Lin Ke, and the black aura flashed, and the two disappeared in the treasure house. Thor, we lost them. Loki gets annoyed and hits Thor on the head with a scepter. Thor was woken up directly, and subconsciously slapped him out. In his hand, the soul rune flashes, which is very similar to the power used by the secret guest. Loki was beaten upside down. His sternum collapsed. Seeing this scene, Thor's face changed drastically, and he rushed up to hug Loki. Loki, don't die. In a pure white space filled with sacred branches. Is this the inside of the world tree? Lin Ke raised his eyebrows and asked. Good. Hela nodded, and said with a trace of nostalgia in her eyes, I once came here secretly for the original power and perception. Before Odin, he took care of this place very much as an important prop connecting the 9 realms. The world tree originally has extremely rich original power, which is of great benefit to the Protoss. After finishing speaking, Hela suddenly knelt down towards Lin Ke and stuck out her tongue on her back. Master, right here, put it on for me. She pointed to the neck. Lin Ke, didn't expect you to be like this, Hela. This guy is just looking for excitement. 3 days later, Lin Ke drove Hela aside and began to comprehend the history of the ancient gods. 10 days passed in a row. You have observed the origin of the world tree deeply and used the power of Odin to evolve the birth process of the ancient gods. You have an epiphany and created the cultivation method of the ancient gods. Ancient God Cultivation Method. Reverse the power of the ancient gods with a mortal body to achieve the body of the ancient gods. It took 10 days to create it, which is a bit long. The intention is a bit high. I hope that the ancient God Cultivation Method will give me the opportunity to cultivate to the ancestor god. Lin Ke thought secretly. Glancing at Hela, who was doing nothing, he asked, Don't you practice? Hela was taken aback. Cultivation? Lin Ke was speechless. Right. For the gods, barbarians, it is enough to be able to pick up weapons and make weapons, but they don't know how to exercise their bodies. The only way to know how to become stronger may be to swallow and eat. Lin Ke snapped his fingers. In an instant, Hela had a lot of knowledge in his mind. Lin Ke didn't care about her anymore, closed his eyes and began to practice. A month later, you practiced the ancient God Cultivation Method with your own foundation and the power of the world tree, and a branch of the ancient god's power is developed from the source, and you have obtained the blood of the acquired ancient god. You have practiced the ancient God Cultivation Method for a long time. Your ancient god bloodline has been completed, and you have been promoted to the original ancient god. The insurmountable gap between the acquired ancient gods and the original, under Lin Ke's terrifying and boundless ability, was crossed in just 1 month. Now, he is also a member of the original ancient gods. That is this moment. Lin Ke feels like he is one with the universe. Everything in the world is open to him. His observations are so small that they go beyond the quantum structure, and so big that they go beyond the cosmic system, and he sees the empty space in the universe and the endless dimensions behind it. The world tree began to tremble. Lin Ke opened his eyes, and endless wisdom overflowed in his eyes. Just a thought. The trembling of the world tree stopped. At the moment, he can say different things, but he didn't. He had a hunch that when he took that step, there must be someone to stop him. Think for a while. Lin Ke started to talk with Ancient One through an unknown distance. A few seconds later, he stretched out his hand to grab. The eye of Adamogo fell into his hand. Right now, what scares me the most is not the sudden arrival of a multi-level powerhouse, but time. Lin Ke closed his eyes and began to comprehend the power of time. Generally speaking, marvel, time travel will lead to the birth of parallel universes. But there are also some means you can directly manipulate the original timeline. 2 months later, with the help of primitive magic, the power of the material world and time gem, you explore the mysteries of time and cause and effect, and you have an epiphany and created original supernatural powers, the one and only origin of supernatural powers, the only one in eternity, anchoring the current timeline, surpassing the interference and influence of past and future time. With the help of primitive magic, the power of the material world and time gem, you explore the mysteries of time and cause and effect, and you have an epiphany and created superstring attack. Superstring attack. The entity that attacks the string and cannot withstand your power will be tracked by your power and wiped out from each timeline. Lin Ke opened his eyes, stepped out, and came outside the 9 realms. At this moment, the original power in his body rose wildly. The entire universe began to tremble, as if there was a peerless overlord who wanted to conquer this side of the army. You can't break through here. 7 figures of various colors appeared in front of Lin Ke. All of them have planet-like file size. Chapter 62. It's actually you guys. Lin Ke recognized the identity of the comer. He never expected that it was these guys who came to hinder him. God Group. The celestial group is an abstract entity. To put it bluntly, it is a pure conceptual incarnation, a transcendence above infinity. At the same time, they are also the creation of the first firmament. The weakest is also level universe. Each transcends the flow of the so-called Father. Lin Ke is sure. The 7 who appeared in front of him were the deities of the celestial God group, not some astral projection. You want to stop me? Lin Ke asked calmly. You can go to other places, other dimensions, but not here. A celestial group wearing purple armor said coldly. This universe is an experimental field under our control. The field does not require the presence of pests. Being multi-level is different from obtaining multi-level power. The former will take away a large amount of energy from the universe, and it will continue to expand like a cancer. A multi-level powerhouse, even for the entire huge Marvel multi-universe, is still a burden. Lin Ke heard this, sneered, and said, I have no obligation to listen to you. And you don't think you're really better than me, do you? After saying that, the original power in Lin Ke's body suddenly sublimated. The dazzling glow of life lights up the entire galaxy. Almost at this moment, Lin Ke has already proved multidimensional. His tentacles spread infinitely towards multiple fields. It cannot be stopped. His source of life has already been full. It is impossible for any existence in history to have such a rich heritage. In that case, accept your doomed death. I want to collect him. It will be a good topic. For a guy like you to appear, it seems that this universe needs to be cleaned. Absorb him. The 7 gods looked at each other and launched an attack unanimously. All kinds of destructive energy hit Lin Ke. Stepping stones dare to bark. Lin Ke scolded in disdain. His eyes shot out heat and collided with the energy in front of him. A big bang. The nearby planets were directly shaken into powder. Then, the entire galaxy began to turmoil. Laugh. A terrifying heat sight, passing through the energy vortex of the explosion, hit a god in yellow armor, pierced him directly, and died on the spot. Primitive magic. The expression of the celestial group wearing purple armor changed drastically. Lin Ke actually mastered the primordial power. This is what they never expected. Damn, the Inquisitor is completely dead. I can't even feel his timeline. He really became a multidimensional god. Obviously, he was not chosen by the consciousness of the universe. He's already part of the diversity. Based on the nature of this universe, there shouldn't be a strong man of this level. In other parallel worlds, there is no figure of him at all. So why can he still become a real multi-god? Primitive magic must be the power of primitive magic. Now how to do? The expressions of the gods changed one after another. The noisy sound buzzed the galaxies. A companion died so easily, which made them realize the seriousness of the matter. Iha, we want Iha. The gods finally agreed. Lin Ke brushed off the corner of his clothes and said, Is this your last words? Hearing this, the purple god shot out a ray without any hesitation. Time and space fluctuate. The gods wanted to escape. Perhaps after this escape, they will never have a chance to come back. But under the crisis of life and death, he can only reluctantly give up this universe. Otherwise it is death. Next second, certainly. Lin Ke snapped his fingers. In an instant, the space fluctuations stopped. What the gods control is nothing but ability or law. And what Lin Ke controls is authority. Supreme authority. If you offend me, you still want to leave. It's too easy to think. Lin Ke snorted coldly. Theoretically, there are countless members of the Celestial Group. Every universe has members of the Celestial Group. But because of this, 1 or 2 deaths are nothing. Then, without waiting for the gods to react, Lin could directly absorb them all. The gods are advanced life forms, and their origin determines that their upper limit of power is almost infinite. Therefore, when the 7 gods are absorbed by Lin Ke's strength will be improved more than the sum of the 7 gods. The original power has skyrocketed. You have absorbed the original substance of the god group, and the origin power of the god group in your body has been promoted to a complete level. Lin Ke smiled. This time the improvement is huge. As soon as I broke through, the Tianshan team sent such a big gift. I don't even know what to say. Thanks for the carnival sent by the old iron. Next, Lin Ke created a piece of land at random and began to realize it on the spot. Just after a breakthrough, his vision has been expanded. He has seen a lot of truths in the universe, and he has countless inspirations. Almost at the moment of comprehension, the reminder came over. You have insight into the truth of the universe. You have discovered the cornerstone of multi-universe power, and your understanding of electromagnetic force has reached the pinnacle. You have insight into the truth of the universe. You have discovered the cornerstone of multi-universe power, and your understanding of gravity has reached its peak. You have insight into the truth of the universe. You have discovered the cornerstone of the power of the multi-universe, and your understanding of weak forces has reached the pinnacle. You have insight into the truth of the universe. You have discovered the cornerstone of multi-universe power, and your understanding of power has reached its peak. You have an epiphany and created unified field, hand of God, and cosmic restart technique. Unified field, hand of God. In your material domain, there is no concept of time. You can adjust the tints and nature of any atom, achieve the ability to perfectly trace back everything, and create items permanently. Cosmic restart technique. Restart the universe with a unified field, or accelerate the time curvature of matter, and change the universe to the next generation. Now, the so-called energy has no meaning to Lin Ke. Even if it is 1,000,000 fixed stars, it is not as powerful as his punch. This is the polytheism, and what is needed is the power of abstraction. At the energy level, unless it is said to devour the origin of the universe in large quantities, or devour the energy of the creator god of Galactus, it is useless. After all, the energy produced in his body every second now cannot be measured by reason. It has reached the point where the universe can be destroyed just by releasing it. In this state, ordinary people will inevitably have the mentality of playing with the universe as a glass bead. But Lin Ke is different. He has a family and a strong heart. No overexpansion. Emotion and will are the great power of life. Lin Ke can't comprehend them thoroughly now, let alone give up on them. As long as it is a life with normal development, it will not do this. I'm still too weak. If you want to continue marching towards ultradiversity, besides relying on the accumulation of time, you have to comprehend some more powerful forces. Lin Ke thought to himself. He knows some of the plots of the main Marvel universe. But want to go? Is it dangerous to compete on the same stage with Molecule Man and Transcendent? Lin Ke looked through countless universes, and the concept generally fell on a certain powerful universe. That universe is incomparably huge. With a slight inspection of the line of sight, countless powerful existences can be found. And those existences also found his gaze. Under a crystal, standing full of stalwarts of various colors. Here is the center of creation, the end of all things. They coincidentally had a perception of something. Interesting guy, actually found us at a glance. A person whispered, Super Swirl. This is the place where all living beings go in their dreams, and it is also the source of ideas and the beginning of telepathy. A god of beginnings looks into the distance. Tenebris has leveled so many worlds. Why didn't he go here? Unfortunately, he has already become a whole of his own. It would be nice if he could put on the shackles earlier. Some crimson heaven. A supreme overlord sitting cross-legged in his palace suddenly felt the line of sight and was about to fight back when the line of sight left. Unfamiliar breath. Is it the newbie ********* D? We can cooperate? I feel connected. Primitive magic? Let me see. Which stone tablet is it that I left behind? Between eternity. A shape containing countless stars moved. He is the eternal duplication in the current universe. There is no intention to destroy the diversity. Stay concerned. Another thing escaping entropy. Death is indeed wrong. Only life is eternal. A certain life creator murmured. This is the most perfect creature I have observed so far. I want to give that universe more spiral power. It's part of a grand experiment, negative zone. Lightless universe. Beyond the protos exists here. Their essence cannot be described by life or some kind of substance, but some kind of story, logic, and rule. New event. I remembered that there seemed to be a juvenile body born in the clan. Let him go and play. Understand what is a story and what is incomplete. Lin Ke looked away. He saw the greedy, the evil, the just, the malicious, the indifferent. They, without exception, are the best. The me now is far from being arrogant. Don't say anything else. He couldn't pass the level of the 5 creator gods. Continue to comprehend, and strive to enter the ultra-diversified field as soon as possible. Lin Ke felt so many powerful existences, and felt a sense of urgency in his heart. He intends to regard this universe as his basic disk first, and will not go blindly in other universes for the time being. Ultra-diversified fields. That is to say, at the level of the 5 creation gods, they are the true supervisors or creators of the infinite universe. In the life of a universe, each quantum moment will create infinite alternate realities, and each alternate reality will correspondingly give birth to a large number of infinite realities, without end. And the ultra-diversified strong can control everything. A multidimensional powerhouse can only control his own multidiversity, not the multidiversity of the entire universe. This is the gap. In fact, Lin Ke also thoroughly digested the knowledge after being promoted, and only then did he truly understand the meaning of diversity. The difference between level single universe and multi-level is too big, and multi-level and super multi-level level, the gap will only get bigger. If Zithorn had come in real form, it would have been a little troublesome. However, if there was a real fight, Lin Ke wouldn't be too afraid. The power of the Silver Superman and the original magic could allow him to bridge the gap between him and the multiple powerhouses at that time. If you really want to talk about the means, I guess your own means should be richer. Time flies, Lin Ke keeps breaking through, and the source of life rises and rises. He found there have been some subtle changes in this universe. It seems that the vitality has become stronger. He didn't take it seriously, he just thought that he had raised the level of performance in this universe. You have studied the origin of the power of the gods in depth, and you have continuously traced back the mystery. You have an epiphany and created the power of the sky. The power of the sky. A source of power, you can give birth to the power of the sky, and then use the power of the sky to make yourself a more complete evolution. It's finally developed. Lin Ke let out a long breath and thought ecstatically. The power of the sky is the power above abstraction and imagination, and the 5 creation gods are just abstract entities of the will of the multi-universe. Through the power of the sky, Lin Ke saw the avenue of stars leading to a higher level. If it accumulates enough, maybe the power of the sky alone is enough to make Lin Ke a super-diversified existence at the top of the multi-dimensional pyramids. However, this is too slow after all. The upper limit is also low. Lin Ke is not satisfied. He also wants to be invincible in both directions and invincible like in the supercell period. And he is not afraid even in the face of higher-level existences. Perhaps, it's time to evolve a wave of root cultivation. Lin Ke thought to himself. Silver Superman training method. Some can't keep up. He also tried to combine with the power of the sky, but there are some conceptual conflicts between the two. Now among his original power, the power of the sky can obviously lead to farther places. Second is raw magic, followed by the Silver Superman cultivation method, the ancient god cultivation method, and the unified field. What is the best tonic resource for Silver Superman? Lin Ke's thoughts flashed, constantly searching for various great powers. Infinite gems can't bring about fundamental changes unless you get together the self gems. The heart of the universe, don't think about it. The power of the transcendent, don't think about it. The ultimate eraser, don't think about it. Cosmic cube, listed as an alternative target. These things are basically in other universes, and it is very troublesome to get them. Suddenly, Lin's subjects lit up. Thought of a force, a great power that can be obtained without going to other universes. And that power is definitely the most suitable for me. Phoenix Force. The incarnation of life and spiritual power in the original universe, symbolizing life and emotion. Creator and source of spiritual power. At the same time, it is also the link point of all living minds in the infinite multi-universe. What could be better for Superman? It's a perfect fit. Phoenix Force, travel in any dimension, universe. Although Jean Grey in this universe is dead, but as long as you find a way, you can definitely attract Phoenix Force. White Queen seems to have the qualifications to be the successor of Phoenix Force. Lin Ke was thinking again and again, and stood up excitedly. Want to act now. However, he forcibly restrained this impulse. Let's confirm the third Tao seed first. Lin Ke created a pocket universe and escaped into it. This kind of thing can't be revealed in front of people. Now, after being scrubbed by the power of the sky, the one chi transforming three purities has become even stronger. Returning to the Tao seed of the ontology, it can perfectly integrate the power into the original source, rather than simply increasing the power. Moreover, there is absolutely no risk of Taoism in consciousness. After a long hesitation, Lin Ke decided not to use the power cornerstone of the local multi-universe as the origin power of the third seed. Leave everything alone. This is a unique virtue of the Orientals. Although Oya claims to be the master of the omnipotent universe, the Marvel multi-universe is not valued by him. But its intervention in the Marvel universe is still a bit too much. Moreover, Oya is obviously suspected of boasting. Omniverse contains all fantasy works and dimensions. Oya is Juggernaut? How could he not believe it? Unless the existence of the same level in other worlds is his duplication. Otherwise, it is absolutely impossible. To prevent being raised as a pig, you must have a whole card. Lin Ke thought, and began to extract new power. His current ability can already touch the omnipotent universe. And the technique he is using now is Chaos Summoning Press. Anyway, the time in this pocket universe can be manipulated by him. With his current ability, as long as he is willing to keep summoning, he will definitely be able to summon the target he wants. Target selection is also very simple. That is the world it is in, and the power level will not be lower than Marvel. Otherwise, there is no point. Chapter 63. One demon after another was summoned by Lin Ke, but none of them satisfied him. I don't know how long it has been. It must have been summoned about 100,000 times. Finally, a character appeared that made Lin Ke feel threatened, and even had to face it again. Ha 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 ha. LOL. The crazy laughter that filled the entire pocket universe resounded from a man's mouth. Or rather, it was a monster. He is tall and deformed, wearing punk black clothes, wearing metal goggles full of iron cones in front of his eyes, has a Joker-like pale face and yellow teeth, and a sickly bloody smile, as if he has no lips. The Laughing Bat. From the world of DC, it is Batman in the dark multi-universe. It can be called the most evil and craziest villain in history, the spokesperson of chaos and darkness. In front of him, the Joker is really just a joker. It's not worth laughing at. And judging by his current appearance, he should have been in contact with Barbados. Fortunately, it should not have the power of Manhattan Batman. Otherwise, Lin Ke might not be able to summon him. In other words, even if he is summoned, it will only make Lin Ke stumble. Batman always wins. As soon as the Laughing Bat came out, he said a famous saying. Weird and crazy eyes stared at Lin Ke. Dear friend, can you tell me why I appear here? I just said yes to an invitation. Is that you? Or is it not you? The Laughing Bat spoke upside down, making it impossible to guess his intentions. However, there is no need to guess his intentions. Dominating, killing, torturing, and creating crises are his code of conduct. Interested in doing a deal? Lin Ke said coldly. Tell me. The Laughing Bat laughed and said in a chant-like, deep tone. While speaking, he also looked around, as if trying to see something. Lin Ke, on the other hand, did not follow his vision and moved his vision, but watched him calmly. In your world, there is something called heavenly blood, which is hidden in the fifth dimension. DC, like Marvel, is also a large multi-universe. Among them, the three-dimensional universe is an infinite multi-universe. The four-dimensional universe is time. The fifth dimension is imagination, and the sixth dimension is the realm of the main monitor. The main monitor is equivalent to Oa, and the blood of heaven exists in the fifth dimension, which is equivalent to the tissue fluid of the entire DC universe. Happy to help you. How can I do all this? The Laughing Bat nodded repeatedly and gradually approached Lin Ke. However, he found that no matter how he walked, he always had a distance from Lin Ke. That's your business, I don't care. Lin Ke shook his head lightly. For 50, it doesn't matter whether the Laughing Bat is pretending to be garlic or something, and it doesn't matter whether he knows what heaven's blood is. Lin Ke said directly. Give me the sky blood, and I'll give you this. As he spoke, a green light appeared in Lin Ke's hand. This is the most fundamental power of our world. Lin Ke believes that the laughing bat should know the value of this energy. Sure enough, the laughing bat stared at the green light for a moment and then laughed wildly again. Ha 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 ha. The guy who sold the world. I am very satisfied with your gift. I am also very satisfied with your people. How? Do you want to cooperate? Real cooperation. LOL. Directly modify the real world. Inky blackness begins to appear in the pocket space. It was the darkness in the darkness, as if it contained the evils of a whole multiverse. Compared with the black holes, they paled in comparison. If you laugh again, your head will be smashed. Lin Ke glanced coldly. Seeing that the laughing bat was still laughing, he shot decisively, instantly appeared in front of the laughing bat, and punched out. Boom. The laughing bat was directly scattered into black mist. DC World. Dark Multi-Universe. A bat suddenly spewed out a mouthful of blood and turned into a human form. Afterwards, the laughing bats at various time points were also attacked. The laughing bat vomited blood, gasping for breath while giggling, with a frenzied and ferocious expression. The words that penetrated the soul still rang in his ears. Do well. Lin Ke began to infinitely lengthen the flow of time in the pocket universe. He wanted to wait for the laughing bat to come back. I don't know how much time has passed. Lin Ke only knows that he woke up 3 times. At a certain moment, Lin Ke opened his eyes and used chaos summoning again. The laughing bat appeared. His body was bruised and bruised, holding a square box in his hand. I knew you wouldn't let me down. Lin Ke smiled heartily. The laughing bat is the kind of guy who is full of infinite curiosity and desire to dominate the unknown, and it is almost impossible to give up his abnormal phenomenon. If it were Lin Ke, it would be about the same. The only difference is that he will confirm that he is strong enough before making dangerous moves. The laughing bat was still greeted by a prosthesis this time. I brought what you asked for. He opened the box, and there was a pool of blood quietly inside. Lin Ke felt the infinite vitality and mystery. Lin Ke is a little excited. Compared with the opportunity of detaching from the Marvel system, his proof of diversity is nothing, d'ba. A touch of green light appeared in Lin Ke's hands. This is full of endless alienation and negative power. The eyes of the laughing bat visibly brightened. Lin Ke generously threw the gamma divine power over. The laughing bat laughed and threw out the box in his hand. Get what you want, both are very satisfied. Looking forward to our next collaboration, kid. The laughing bat spoke provocatively. After Lin Ke heard this, she didn't feel very happy or angry. This made the laughing bat feel a little more weighed. Egoist? Next time, bring more heavenly blood, or Clark's blood. After Lin Ke finished speaking, he canceled the chaos summoning technique. The laughing bat is back in DC. What Lin Ke sent out was the gamma divine power produced by the second seed. Don't worry about what the laughing bat will do with it. If he really has the ability to alienate the entire DC universe, then Lin Ke will be overjoyed. It is not impossible to surpass OBA in one leap. Heavenly blood. I don't even want to use it to give birth to the third seed. Lin Ke looked at the blood in the box. His face was full of joy, but there was still a little bit of tangle in it. If this thing is used for the main body, the improvement must be very large. It's a pity. Looking at this thing, I don't have any inspiration or insight. Epiphany is basically impossible. If you want to make buns, you must at least eat them. After a while of hesitation, Lin Ke decided to use this ball of heavenly blood for the third species. He can still tell the difference between a full meal and a full meal. Lin Ke made a decision and did not use the heavenly blood immediately, but began to observe and check. Heavenly blood was 100% tampered with by the laughing bat. There is no doubt about this. I don't know how much time has passed. Lin Ke has a deep feeling in his mind. It wasn't about epiphanies, but it was satisfying to him. You observed and inspected the heavenly blood for a long time, discovered and lured out the origin of the dark multi-universe in it. Is it so compatible with gamma divine power? Lin Ke held a ball of evil substance in his hand and looked surprised. After not seeing the result for a long time, he used gamma divine power when checking. As a result, this thing ran out as soon as it was lured. It may be a scourge to others, but to Lin Ke, it is a big gift package. Since I like gamma divine power so much, then I will give it to you. Lin Ke chuckled lightly. A space door is opened in front. On the other side, there is a world of green light. A small green baby is sleeping in it. It is Lin Ke's second seed. The little green baby opened its mouth and swallowed the dark matter. Afterwards, Lin Ke closed his eyes, his consciousness entered into the second seed, and he began to comprehend carefully. It can only be said that it is the origin of DC's dark multi-universe. After digesting it, Lin Ke felt that the origin of the second duplication became stronger before he understood it thoroughly. Time flies, you digest and comprehend the origin of the dark multi-universe. Combined with the power of Gamma, you have an epiphany and created infinite alienation. Infinite alienation. Gamma divine power alienation has enhanced characteristics, and it is self-contained and cannot be digested or absorbed. Infinite pollution? The corner of Lin Ke's mouth curled up. As long as Gamma's divine power is alienated, unless there is his will, the alienation will continue forever. With the terrifying contagion of Gamma divine power, a universe can also be rapidly alienated. And these alienated things naturally become part of Lin Ke's power, and they cannot be destroyed. Dormammu is also worthy of being called the cancer of multiples? Lin Ke thought of the dead Dormammu. If it weren't for the kind-hearted person Dormammu, the second species would not have such a good basic disk, so that its supernatural power is comparable to Lin Ke's body. The power under all things, the more you feel it, the more terrifying it becomes. I really can't imagine how powerful OBA, which has the negative power of the entire Marvel Universe, has reached. Although the second species cannot compete with OBA for power, its advantage is that it is completely under Lin Ke's control. TB. If the second seed can completely alienate the DC universe, then integrate with the main body life in the DC universe that dies, Lin doesn't care. Because he really waited until that day, that is, he snapped his fingers. If you want heaven, you will have heaven. If you want hell, you will have hell. This is the self-confidence brought to him by practice. All power is his own, and there is no possibility of being unable to control it. Next, Lin Ke conceived his own third seed in the heavenly blood. This Dao seed is no less important than the first two, and there is no good storage place, so Lin Ke put him into the inner world. After the third seed is conceived, Lin Ke came out of the pocket universe and began to have an epiphany. The third species was named Holy King by him. During the gestation process of the Holy King, Lin Ke has been digesting the mysteries in the heavenly blood. It's a pity that the heavenly blood is too little to study it thoroughly. But even so, it was enough for Lin Ke to be inspired and creative. Not long after leaving the pocket universe, Lin Ke suddenly realized a god-level skill. You comprehend the gestation process of the third species, and you have a deep understanding of heavenly blood. You have an epiphany, your life potential has increased, and you have ultimate imagination. Ultimate imagination. If you have enough imagination, you can do anything within your imagination. Substance. Magic. Think imagination. Lin Ke is now Trinity. Who else can stop him? Lin Ke suddenly had the confidence to go to the universe. It's not too much to be a Marvel 5-dimensional person, is it? Lin Ke feels that he has gone further and further on the road of Supreme Superman. What is Supreme? Definitely is the only one in heaven and earth. Let me see, what authority is there now that no one has occupied? With a flash of white smoke, Lin Ke came to the 5-dimensional space. It's pure white here. Because Marvel does not have a specific concept of 5-dimensional space. So here is just a space created by Lin Ke's imagination, and no existence can find him. With ultimate imagination, Lin Ke can gain any cosmic authority. The problem is that if you really want to develop, you have to confront the people behind the authority. The authority in Marvel is like an accelerator. Everyone wants to have it. For example, if there is a god of knowledge among the 5 creator gods, then all the knowledge in the Marvel universe will be mastered by that god. Simple and rude. Marvel's orthodox gods are all cosmic gods, which are completely different from belief in gods, and represent cosmic phenomena. Death, eternity, annihilation, and infinity are all powerful powers that have been occupied by humans. There are Asgardians in life, in imagination, in mind, in dreams. It's difficult. Lin Ke thought about it. Finally decided to choose 4 authority to test the waters. Life, truth, strength, and hope. These 4 authorities fit very well with his current path of transformation. I will be the god of life and truth and strength and hope from now on. Lin Ke left the pocket space, as if reciting a Dharma name, and snapped his fingers by the way. Instant. Lin Ke's will and thought run through this universe. All the information about life, reality, power, and hope in the universe is flowing. Life, bred and grown with Lin Ke's permission. All things on the real level have his shadow. He is in the sky, in the river, in the fixed star, in the galaxy. Matter moves, and that requires force. The power generated by the material movement in every microsecond flows to Lin Ke. The originally withered flowers have little hope of blooming. But under Lin Ke's will, all the flowers in the universe are in full bloom at this moment. At the moment, Lin Ke really took control of this universe and became the other end of truth, power, and hope. Relying on power and power, he only needs one thought, and the universe will explode. Lin Ke picked it up casually, and a group of ever-changing pictures appeared in his hands. This is a slice of what all life in the universe is going through. Is the vitality of the living beings increasing a little too fast? This is too active. Lin Ke frowned. Could it be that my own improvement has raised the upper limit of this universe? Lin Ke didn't know that a certain philanthropic life spreader has blessed this place. The life in this universe will grow far faster than the original speed. Fortunately, Lin Ke didn't need to think too much. He directly pulled out a drawing board and wrote on it, "What's going on here?" The next moment, a great existence appeared on the small drawing board, and Lin Ke immediately learned its information, as well as its cause and effect. It turned out to be the builders. The builders are the shapers and engineers of species. They will cultivate the universe and create life with preservation value. And for unqualified universes and unsuitable species, they will be systematically cleaned up. The behavior is somewhat similar to the celestial group, but the purpose is more pure, loyal to the universe originally, and it is the kind of fanatic. After finding out the reason of the matter, Lin Ke didn't care too much. Marvel has a lot of crazy guys. As long as you don't mess with him, he won't take care of it. Lin Ke perceived the changes in the universe, thought about it, and decided not to expand the power for the time being. It is unnecessary to infect other universes bitterly, and it is easy to cause trouble. Moreover, with this method, don't even think about the level of the great five heavens creation God in your life. The multi-universe has been increasing at an unimaginable speed, and people are getting stronger all the time. If you chase step by step, you really can't even smell farts. The most convenient and the most step-by-step way to reach the sky is to prove the superdiversity. Proving that super multi-universe is a quantitative change. This method is the best. Not only can you have the power of authority, but also instilled with the power of the super multi-universe, other original powers will also instantly consummation. The qualitative change is slightly worse. Need to rely on the power of the sky, primitive magic, and Superman's growth. For the former, Lin Ke doesn't expect extravagance. The five creation gods will not lie down and let him study. Now let's consider the Phoenix Force. He is already very satisfied with what he has gained from this trip to Asgard. It's time to go back to Earth. They must miss me. I don't know what happened to White Queen. Phoenix Force depends entirely on her. Phoenix Force, my Phoenix Force. Chapter 64. Lin Ke appeared above the earth, looking towards America. Immediately, he was dumbfounded. What are these things in front of you? When he was empowered, he glanced at the earth, and then quickly looked away. It's a surprise every time I come home. Knowing ahead of time is no fun, but this surprise is too big. Completely a wasteland style. He dares to be sure that he will leave Earth for no more than 2 years. But the Earth in front of him has changed directly. No, to be precise, the whole of America has changed. The once familiar city seems to be only one left in New York. In perception, Hill and the others are alive, and from the point of view of vitality, they already have a level godfather. This is not beyond Lin Ke's expectation. The question is, what happened to the whole Earth? Lin Ke appears inside the Lin Ke mansion. Master, welcome home. Jingwei's cold and joyful female mechanical voice sounded. At the beginning, she was left by Lin Ke and the Hill family as a smart housekeeper. Haven't seen you for a long time. Lin Ke hurriedly replied, looking at the slightly changed room layout. It was too late to feel emotional. Snapped. A snap of the fingers. Hill and the others appeared in the room. At first, they were all a little confused, but after seeing Lin Ke, this confusion disappeared, and they all rushed forward. Is that you, Lin Ke? Very good. Lin Ke, you are finally back. All the girls were noisy, and Hill was the most excited one, hugging Lin Ke, as if he wanted to melt himself into Lin Ke's body. Lin Ke felt everyone's emotions, smiled and said, Mother Hill, don't worry, there are everyone. Hill burst into tears and sobbed. Have you encountered any danger outside? Lin Ke touched her head and said, No. Lin Ke, I miss you so much. Lorna hugged Lin Ke's waist. Lin Ke also touched her head and hugged her and Hill with his arms. Lorna cried, Lin Ke, you have grown up a lot. I miss you so much these 2 years. Because of the transcendence of the power of the sky. Silver Superman cultivation method no longer controls body growth. Lin Ke is now a handsome young man. Well, Lorna grows too, Lin Ke laughed. Then, he hugged Sky and Simmons in turn. Sky said, I have a lot to say to you. You won't be leaving anytime soon this time? Simmons, beep. Simmons was out of breath from crying. Simmons, I didn't expect you to have such deep feelings for me. Lin Ke was moved. Lin Ke, you don't know. Now Lin Ke industrial stock has collapsed, and my stock is useless. Simmons sobbed. Lin Ke. Several people were amused by Simmons' behavior, and the sadness of reunion after a long absence was diluted. Okay, don't cry. I want to hear you tell me what happened. Lin Ke scratched his head and said, I won't leave this time. Hill alerted. You still want to leave? Lin Ke didn't want to lie, nor did he want to be perfunctory, and said frankly, things in the multidimensional field are too complicated, and I don't know what will happen in the next second. The expressions of all the girls changed a little. Hill looked worried. Simmons' small eyes were resentful, like looking at a heartbroken man. Sky hugged his shoulders, with a hint of irritability in his eyes, as if he wanted to kick Lin Ke. Mia started directly, pinching Lin Ke's cheek. Her delicate and flawless face approached. Her eyes narrowed dangerously, and said, What did you say? Say it again. Lin Ke hurriedly raised his hands in surrender. Definitely, I will try my best to accompany you. Also, nothing should have happened recently. I promise. Mia snorted coldly. That's about the same. Next, the women began to talk about what happened after Lin Ke left. They all stuck close to Lin Ke when they told the story. Lorna and Simmons grabbed Lin Ke's thigh and arm. Mia hugged Lin Ke's neck from behind, gentle and deadly. Even if Lin Ke leaves this time, he must bring them with him. Lin Ke said before that he was going to leave, but who knew it would take so long to leave? What a scumbag. So, the cause of the current situation is all because of the recovery of the gods. And you cooperated with Wanda to slaughter the gods and save the world? Lin Ke was a little confused. After he left, Wanda was also looking for him and connected with the Hill family. During the period, it may be because he killed the 7 gods, which triggered the revival of the gods. Yes, Lin Ke. The magic bracelet you left us played a key role. Simmons nodded, showing his smooth wrist with a delicate crystal bracelet on it. Right now, the crystal is a little dull. This is the original magic bracelet that Lin Ke left for them. It is used for self-defense, and all 5 girls have it. That battle belonged to the battle between Supergirl and Scarlet Witch. Hill did not attend, and only found out after the fact. So, her magic bracelet, the luster is still there. Snapped. Lin Ke snapped his fingers. The 5 people's magic bracelets were recharged, and the upgraded version of the content of the Angel Cultivation Method appeared in their minds. After a few seconds, the girls came back to their senses, their eyes sparkling. Sky stared at Lin Ke with wild, cheetah-like eyes and said, You are really strong now. Among the women, she is the most sensitive to power. She continued, I don't know how strong you are now. Do we have the ability to fight side by side with you? Everyone looked over, looking expectant. They are not weak now. They are the best superheroes on Earth. Lin Ke smiled, and directly sent the scene of a Big Bang into Sky's mind. Suddenly, Sky was stunned, and Jumei's face was a little stiff. That's right, Lin Ke. We are all strong now and can fight side by side with you. Simmons had no idea what kind of shock Sky had encountered, and his face was proud. She seems to have something to show off to Lin Ke. Lin Ke rubbed her dog's head and said with a smile, Simmons is the best. It's just that I really don't have any crisis right now. It's really not that he's lying. With luck, Captain America can wrestle with eternity. Every tiny variable may change the outcome of a multivariate event. He never doubted Simmons's potential, but they also don't want Simmons and the others to take risks. That's it. Simmons said something in a drawn-out tone, and then couldn't suppress his inner desire to tell, impatiently said, Lin Ke, do you know the ranking of the strongest superhero in the world? Where do I rank? 9th. Simmons looked like his tail was going up to the sky. Lorna is the 8th. At that time, Congress sent a nuclear bomb, and Lorna sent it back directly. Lin Ke's expression sank upon hearing this. Seeing this, Hill said, Now Congress is gone, and America has no governor. Lin Ke made a perception and found that it was indeed the case. The battle with the gods had a huge impact. Mia tightened her arms around Lin Ke and sighed. The recovery of the gods indirectly caused the abnormality of the Earth's crust. America is in chaos. Militants and careerists from all over the country occupy the mountains as kings. Among them, under the leadership of the White Queen, Mutant conquered the White House and established the Mutant Kingdom, which is currently the only 4 superpowers in the United States. The other 3 superpowers are the Black Gold Dynasty, the Green Empire, and New York. The Black Gold Dynasty was established by Norman Osborn, the Djinn, the Hand, and a host of dark heads. Under Iron Man's Iron Legion, they escaped from New York in embarrassment, threatened a large number of civilians, and were able to establish a large force. The leader of the Green War Empire is Banner. Banner did not completely turn back to an ordinary person because of Lin Ke, but was once again exposed to gamma rays in an experiment with Tony. On that day, he went completely crazy and almost smashed half of the city. After waking up, he exiled himself and went to an unknown planet, and accidentally became the emperor of that planet, got married, and had children. Banner felt that everything was perfect, and after he felt that he could control himself, he wanted to take the spaceship back home and return to his hometown rich and honored. As a result, the spaceship exploded. His wife and children were all engulfed in flames. Banner has every reason to suspect that Tony did it, so he came with an army to tear Tony apart and kill all the superheroes. Of course, the plan didn't work out. Today's New York is the strongest of the 4 forces. Tony's Steel Army guards the city, and Supergirl is stationed there. In the whole of America, the people in New York live the most normal life, while other places are very chaotic. The so-called high-ranking military officers were massacred by the White Queen using telepathy at the very beginning, and the army either fled or was incorporated, and so on. No way. White Queen got Professor X's helmet from somewhere. It has the global killing ability. It's very scary. Her real name, Emma, was gradually forgotten. People either call her the White Queen or the Queen. In Mutant's mind, it is even more like a god, and it cannot be disobeyed. Now America is such a 4-legged confrontation. The one most likely to sweep the world is Tony. He has such strength and ambition. Lin Ke paid close attention to White Queen, but instead of going to her immediately, she honestly stayed with her family for 3 days. During the period, Wanda and Iriana were also summoned by him. Needless to say, the affection between Lin Ke and Wanda. Iriana has been practicing in Kamar Taj with Ancient One. Seeing Lin Ke, who has always been serious and dignified, smiled for a long time. Lin Ke, you really have changed a lot. Wanda touched Lin Ke left and right, still feeling incredible. You, too, are prettier. Lin Ke did not hesitate to praise. As he spoke, he glanced at Iriana. Iriana, you are much more mature than before. Iriana's face is cold and charming, more youthful and beautiful than before. What, do you think I'm getting old? Seeing Lin Ke, Iriana's slender legs in ripped black silk were draped over the table, with her eyes slanting coldly. How come, if you really count, you are only 16 years old this year? Lin Ke laughed. Iriana's temperament is still as cold as ever. I just laughed when I saw him, asking for flowers. Now, he has returned to his previous cold face. Iriana snorted softly. She had no expression on her face, but she felt inexplicably high-spirited. This night, everyone clan, together with Wanda and Iriana, engaged in a big melee. The battle takes place in Lin Ke's pocket universe. Everyone is a transcendent, such as amusement facilities, which can no longer bring much fun. The intense and exciting battle has become a kind of entertainment instead. Anyway, Lin Ke guarantees that everyone can play to their heart's content. The result of the battle was Wanda first, Iriana second, Mia third, Lorna fourth, Sky fifth, Hill sixth, and Simmons last. What surprised Lin Ke the most was that Mia got the 3rd place. Lin Ke found that Mia seemed to have a high degree of compatibility with Angel's cultivation method, and was the first of the 4 women to have the awakening ability, possessing the white light of healing and destruction. When ability is fully released, the flesh is transparent and holy, full of sacredness. However, in terms of combat power and destructive power, Mia is definitely not as good as Lorna. It's just that Lorna is young after all, and her combat IQ is a little bit worse, so Mia took the 3rd place. After careful observation, Lin Ke found that Mia's supernatural ability is very special. It is spontaneously awakening as the life level progresses, without any external factors. This provided Lin Ke with a little new knowledge. There is no end to learning. The larger the circumference of a circle, the more unknowns you come into contact with, and the more things you don't understand. People in the world should not be underestimated. Night. Lin Ke was lying on the bed. The room was dark. Suddenly, the door lock moved, and a small cat-like figure came in. After closing the door, she slipped directly onto the bed. Lorna, what are you doing? Lin Ke opened his eyes, pretending to be awakened. For the past 3 days, Lin Ke slept with all the girls. They were afraid that Lin Ke would run away again. As a result, as soon as I slept alone today, Lorna came. Lorna snorted, hugged Lin Ke tightly from behind, and warned, "If you leave alone for such a long time, I will never talk to you again." Lin Ke smiled helplessly. It feels good to be loved by a girl, but there are also some burdens. Not long. The door rang again. With her yellow hair fluttering slightly, Mia came to the bed on catwalks. Seeing Lorna, she chuckled and got into bed. Immediately, the whole quilt seems to be a little brighter. Mia's current figure is very extraordinary. Being pinched from left to right, Lin Ke suffered a lot. Lorna is only 2 years old and can't do much. "Aren't you feeling very exciting, Mickey?" Mia suddenly leaned close to Lin Ke's ear and whispered. Lin Ke sniffed the pleasant scent and quickly shook his head in denial. I'm not. Don't talk nonsense. Also, don't call me by my nickname." Mia reached out with her tender hands. "Let me be healthy. This woman is so bad." Lin Ke quickly closed his eyes. His consciousness went deep into the universe, and he quickly went to hell. Hell. Styx. The army of death stretches as far as the eye can see, covering the entire plain. In the palace, Hela sat on the throne with her chin propped on one hand, and there was a powerful demon on the left and right. Suddenly, Lin Ke's voice appeared in her mind. "Long time no see, Hela. How is the task entrusted to you? Are Shazam and Barlow useful?" After hearing this, Hela's expression suddenly became lively, and she said with a smile, "Long time no see, Lin Ke. As soon as I come up, ask me about my work. Are you being too ruthless?" She raised her chin slightly, in front of Lin Ke. She seemed to be sprouting a queen's posture. Lin Ke said, "Don't you just like war? How can it be considered a job?" Hela hummed and said, "Now that the entire Styx has been brought down, the Devil's Abyss will satisfy you. Shazam and Barlow are very good, but they have no brains, and I need to come up with all the suggestions. I think it's better to take down Asgard. At least a few generals can be subdued. Shazam is an ice demon. Barlow is a fire demon. Created with the casket of ancient winters and the eternal fire respectively, the strength is stronger than Hela that has never been practiced." Lin Ke handed over these 2 assistants to Hela in order for her to fight in hell, to collect demon resources, and to facilitate the transformation of original magic energy. He came to the abyss of demons in an instant and saw hundreds of millions of demons in it, and he was satisfied. Hela is still very capable. Although he now has 4 great powers, the resources for transformation are not the same as in the past. But the infinite land of hell is worth his attention. Lin Ke said casually, "You did a good job. If you need a wise general, your younger brother alone is enough." Lin Ke refers to Loki. As we all know, the brains of all of Asgard are in Loki's head. He? Just a mouse. Hela's words were full of disdain. "Better than the other barbarians." Lin Ke laughed. "That's right, I'll catch him later." Hela nodded and said, "Solomon is constantly in conflict with our Styx because of Phineas and the Gia faction, so it's just a good time for him to come and practice his work." Chapter 65. Lin Ke sighed. "You really like conquest and war. In such a barren place as hell, Hela can burst out with such great enthusiasm, which can be said to be full of subjective initiative. It's okay to be conquered." Hela licked her lower lip, then teased again. "It seems that you don't know the true value of hell." Lin Ke was taken aback. "What's the real value?" Hela crossed her long legs for a moment and said in a charming way, "I'll tell you when you come to my side." "Forget it, I don't want to know." After Lin Ke finished speaking, he cut off contact with Hela. He just came to pass the time. Hela shouted a few words and found that the communication was really cut off and couldn't help being furious. "Keep sending telegrams into the air, Xiaolei." The old lady worked hard to build the territory. "You come to chat for a while and leave. I don't even see you." The next day, a big family is having breakfast. TV is of course indispensable. According to the frontline staff, the UK has contacted the Black Gold Dynasty and wants to buy biochemical serum technology. It's disgraceful. It's despicable. This is against humanity. The radio host was filled with righteous indignation, spitting stars flying around. The biochemical human is Connor's masterpiece. It can transform people into biochemical human beings corresponding to serum animals, and has outstanding strength. They are the middle and grassroots combat power of the Black Gold Dynasty. Only mech warriors are the symbol of greatness and glory. The future era will be the era of mechanical supremacy. Mr. Tony is our savior. After spraying about the chaos outside New York, the host changed the subject and began to praise Tony. Now, the military, media, and public security in New York are fully taken over by the Avengers and S.H.I.E.L.D. Even though Tony has never actually made a shot, he is still considered the #1 superhero in the world. Because he guarded New York. A message to be broadcast urgently. 8:33, 3 armed planes of Maoxiong Kingdom fell in our country. Pepper Potts promoting this has nothing to do with the Avengers. America exists in name only, and the United Nations naturally wants to take a share. But most of them were killed by the miraculous warriors in the territory. Who knows why there are so many superpowers in America? Many people have mutated or evolved. It could be chemical exposure, it could be grief, it could be awakening. This is inseparable from the resource betting of the builder. The entire universe is being upgraded, and the Earth, which is undoubtedly the center of the current universe, benefits the most. Chaos frequently occurs. 11 Wanda sat cross-legged on the sofa, sighed softly, turned her head to look at Lin Ke and said, Lin Ke, I want to study a magic that removes all supernatural beings. Can you help me? Lin Ke was speechless. If you want to achieve this, you just need to practice with peace of mind, and then say a word. He said, the emergence of extraordinary beings is actually a natural law of the universe. And, even if you stop it, the human battle will not stop. It's true that ordinary people are powerless in the face of superpowers, but they are also powerless in the face of guns. When the girls heard this, they all looked sideways, thinking that what Lin Ke said made sense. Hill frowned and said, but going on like this is not an option. Only stability can bring order. The world is too chaotic right now. Lin Ke said, Hill, do you want to build a new country? The tone is casual. Definitely not. Hill shook her head, and just as she was about to say something, the smartwatch lit up. She looked down and said, it's Tony. He and Dr. Pym are coming to visit us. The current Avengers are stronger than ever before, with countless talented people, and Dr. Pym is one of them. Hill continued, he may have heard the news of your return through the Cobweb Horse Trail. Do you want him to come over? Lin Ke looked at Wanda. Wanda shook her head and said, it's okay. I punished that guy already. She is, after all, a kind and benevolent girl. Lin Ke nodded, stood up and said, then go and see them. Pym particles are still quite interesting. The quantum realm is where the so-called God also rolls dice. Perhaps this can be used to strengthen a wave of unification. Meeting room. Pym, Tony, Natasha Romanoff are waiting. Tony was obviously agitated, walking back and forth. The door opened. Lin Ke and Hill stepped in. Tony's weathered face, which had been experienced for a long time, couldn't hold back any longer, and he just burst into laughter. Lin Ke, God, it's really you. You're really back. Tony walked up to Lin Ke, trembling. Pym looked at Natasha Romanoff, wanting to shrug, and found that she was equally agitated, short of breath, and couldn't help but be speechless. You have Parkinson's? Lin Ke joked. Tony took a deep breath, hurriedly walked to the sofa and dusted it off. Sit down. Ke, you don't even know what I have experienced during the 2 years you left. I have built the Iron Legion. Unfortunately, the fire source I bought was only 100. Otherwise, I've pacified this troubled world. Tony rambled on, and Lin Ke didn't mean to be impatient. Lin Ke, go to the Avengers base for 2 days. It is now 10 times bigger than before. Finally, Tony opened his mouth to invite. No. Lin Ke shook his head and looked at Pym. Just as Natasha Romanoff was about to speak, Tony hurriedly said, this is Dr. Pym, my adjutant. I thought you had forgotten me. Pym gave Tony a resentful look, then smiled and said to Lin Ke, hi, Lin Ke. I've heard of your name for a long time. Lin Ke reached out and shook his hand. Hello? Then he said to Tony, you are here this time. Do you have any serious business to discuss? Immediately, Tony had a very wronged expression on his face. Can't we toast to friendship? This time I came here specially to meet old friends. Definitely. It would be even better if you could sell me a few hundred more fire sources to solve my urgent need. Lin Ke nodded, made a table of fire sources, and then said to Tony, I can give you things, but I want the complete information of Pym particles. Tony and Natasha Romanoff looked at Pym. There was a trace of struggle on Pym's face. Pym technology is his heart and blood. After a while, he said, can you provide some technical support? Lin Ke shook his head. He feels that the current situation of four-legged confrontation is quite good. The strong are respected, there is no longer any moral condemnation, and there is no such thing as international pressure. As for issues like stability, in fact, the four major forces are quite stable internally. After all, no one wants to take over a mess by themselves. Compared with national happiness, the original America may not be comparable to New York. Now New York food is free. In fact, the world has long been able to do so. Food production has been excessive for so many years, and people in remote countries are starving to death. At present, everyone is busy robbing the population, and it is better to treat the bottom people. Apart from New York, the other three forces also have foreign propaganda departments, boasting that their country is sound, socially sound, well-off, safe enough, and so on. Very outrageous. In fact, as long as the four major forces shake hands and make peace, and let go of their prejudices, America can be rebuilt now. But this is simply a fantasy. If people were reasonable creatures, the world would not be like this. Next, Tony and Pim went back to prepare the data of Pim particles. Hill sent the two of them downstairs. Natasha Romanoff stayed. She hooked Lin Ke's shoulder and said with a smile, "Men are always so busy. I thought Tony would at least have a meal with you." Lin Ke held her swaying black silk thighs, wondering, "You seem to be different from before. Is this evolution?" Natasha Romanoff nodded and generously admitted, "Not long ago, Reed's experiment made progress. He discovered the secret of his own evolution and carried out a genetic engineering. I was the first experimenter." Lin Ke became interested. "Oh, tell me carefully." Natasha Romanoff hooked her gorgeous red lips, nodded and said, "No problem. Probably Reed conducted reverse research on himself and created a source substance. Source substances can be combined with external factors, an evolutionary path customized by the human body. The external factor can be energy or some kind of animal. This is obviously much better than Connor's technology. Then what are you integrating?" Lin Ke became curious. Natasha Romanoff should be some kind of integrated animal with vigorous vitality. He doesn't know the specifics. Usually he doesn't look at people from a microscopic perspective, because in that perspective, everything is meaningless. If you really want to be serious, you can even see other people's emotions and thoughts. Things like life courts and gods of creation can naturally do this too. It's just that they are for things like human rights or freedom. And Lin Ke is purely for fun. People outside call me Black Widow. Why Natasha Romanoff suddenly straddled Lin Ke's lap. Her nails turned black and caught Lin Ke's chin. She is wearing a short black skirt today, which looks a bit evil and charming. With both feet firmly on the sofa, he squatted down, not caring about his nakedness, like a spider shaking its big butt, trying to prey on it. Lin Ke found that his desire was aroused. Natasha Romanoff is emitting a special female pheromone. Lin Ke's cells did not resist. It's like drinking water. Although Lin Ke doesn't need to drink water to survive, his body won't reject it if he drinks water. After mating, the female spider will eat the male spider. Lin Ke stared at Black Widow, playing with taste in his eyes. "Are you going to eat me?" Natasha Romanoff's face seemed to be full of honey, and she said with a smile, "Why, can it?" Lin Ke nodded and said, "Yes, but Hill is coming back. Did you calculate this correctly and think that I dare not touch you?" Being punctured, Natasha Romanoff panicked, but kept calm on her face. However, before she could say anything, the two suddenly appeared in a wilderness full of flowers. Although the office is not bad, but spiders are better off in the wild, aren't they? Losing the support of the sofa, Natasha Romanoff lost her legs and was hugged by Lin Ke. Lin Ke didn't intend to let go either. This guy used to use his legs to rub and rub to charm himself. If you don't educate yourself well, you won't be a man. Do you really think you can get away with it every time? The river must be broken today. It happened to be a bad night last night, and I was very angry. The bright and beautiful red hair shakes with the wind, endlessly gone. When Hill came back, he found Natasha Romanoff pale and pale. Startled, she asked, "What's wrong with you, Natasha Romanoff?" Natasha Romanoff forced a smile and said, "I just made a little joke with Lin Ke. He is really strong." Hill nodded knowingly. It is estimated that Agent Natasha Romanoff had a temper tantrum and made some tentative moves. As a former agent, she still understands this very well. There is only one evaluation in her mind. "Yes." Hill glanced at Lin Ke and raised his eyebrows, meaning, "You haven't gone too far, have you?" Lin Ke smiled without saying a word. Seeing this, Hill was relieved. Anyway, Lin Ke used to love to fight with her old colleague. So, she smiled and said, "Natasha Romanoff, do you want to have dinner together tonight? You haven't seen Lin Ke for a long time." Didn't you argue about being Lin Ke's little mother before? Haha. Natasha Romanoff nodded, agreeing to come down. Night. Stark and the others came here with the materials of PIM technology. The intention of rubbing rice is obvious. Lin Ke simply held a bonfire party behind the building. During the dinner party, he saw many familiar and unfamiliar superheroes. They all made a toast to Lin Ke. Iron Man's core technology research and development has always had an invisible second person, which is not a secret. In other words, the stability of the city of New York is due to Lin Ke, although he doesn't care. 3 days later, you have studied the quantum field in depth, and your understanding of the quantum field has greatly deepened. 7 days later, you have studied the quantum field in depth, and you have a great feeling. You have an epiphany and created Prince Ghost 1, Quantum Ghost. You can freely travel in the quantum realm. The laws of physics such as cause and effect cannot take effect on you, and your existence is full of uncertainty and unpredictable. Half year later, you have worked deeply in the quantum field and discovered the bottom-level secrets of the quantum field. You had an epiphany and created the Quantum Superman Practice Method. Quantum Superman Practice Method. Integrate the quantum realm with your own will, and finally control the quantum realm. At present, you are the body of a prince in the third sequence, possessing the ability. And the rich child reacts, particle domination, time and space domination, decomposition and reorganization, transcending time and space, the only reality. Ability will increase as your sequence improves. Came back. Lin Ke's consciousness returned from the quantum realm, trembling with excitement. Lin Ke has never been so excited for a moment like today. He has been wandering in the quantum realm for too long, and if he hadn't realized the Quantum Superman training method, he almost couldn't come back. Once such a thing happens, he will always be in a defective state. No way. The quantum realm was so tempting. He threw himself into it before he knew it. When a scientific researcher comes to the Garden of God, can he not be so happy that he gets lost? That's how he felt. And the gains from this adventure are definitely worth 0.8. Quantum Superman training method will allow him to become a god in the quantum field step by step, and it doesn't require any food or energy. As long as he goes deep into the quantum realm for every point, he can obtain the authority of the quantum realm accordingly. The premise is to keep yourself from getting lost. Otherwise, you will lose yourself if you are trapped for a period of time. It's quite a magical feeling, and the way of magic is strong. If Lin Ke gave up everything in himself and completely devoted himself to the quantum realm, he could directly become an existence like Dr. Manhattan now. But then you lose yourself. Therefore, for Lin Ke, the best way is still to practice. Lin Ke does not want to be the son of the quantum realm, but wants to be the father of the Xingzi realm. This half year is so worth it. Lin Ke took a deep breath, forcibly suppressing his joy. Immediately, he realized that he didn't need to suppress himself and laughed out loud. The Quantum Superman Practice Method brought him a very good ability. The only truth. This ability allows him to travel through the timeline and interfere with the timeline at will without worrying about affecting himself. And the future him does not exist. Now he is an aggregate of infinite possibilities. Only he is real. This means that he is no longer afraid of any conspiracy and calculations. He can play however he wants. The moment Lin Ke realized the Quantum Cultivation Method, Lin Ke was completely free. What light cones? What karma? What fate? What matter and magic? He shattered them all. Lin Ke, what's wrong with you? Wanda teleports to Lin Ke's room. Wanda, I'm free. Lin Ke flew onto Wanda, overjoyed and happy from the bottom of his heart. From now on, please call me Supreme Superman. Okay, Supreme Superman, could you please get off me first? I don't. Wanda, I want to teach you magic. I want to make you a multi-level now.
Thanks for watching. You can find the next videos in the playlist linked in the info card, directly on my channel, or right here on the screen. And as always, if you have any feedback, feel free to share it in the comments too.